little bit of spinach in my bannock while I'm beastin'. Every single season, we're about to wake up and my natives are the reason. Get up, I wanna see you get up. I wanna see you show the world how you never give up. Cause me, I never give up. I'm going gorilla. I'm stomping through your city. Used to call me Drozilla. For me, I keep it native. You give me that or break it. And all the moves I'm making got a hater frustrated. Go ahead, buddy, hate me. You're gonna do it anyway. Girl, hating Nate till I hit her with the hey. Clean with the fadeaway. Out the door like later, babe. Thought my name was Jesus. Told her don't forget to pray today. I'm in it for the base. The knowledge you can't learn from college. I'm a streetwise scholar who solemnly made a promise to my people and myself. I'm pushing it through performance. I'm a beast and I'm breaking through barriers and opponents say, I got them looking at me funny. Everywhere I go, I got them looking at me funny. Maybe cause I'm Nate, got them looking at me funny. But even on the reds, they be looking at me funny. Hey, get up, I wanna see you get up. Hey, 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 get up, I wanna see you get up. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah, I think my cooker made a magic. I think she put a little bit of cushy in my bannock while I'm chiefin', laughing around cheesing. Why you looking mad, homie? This is just a preview. Get up, I wanna see you get up. I wanna see the real motherfucker David Guetta. Cause me, I do it better. You cheesy Gouda cheddar. I'm doing this for real. You just playing Mr. Dresser. I'm about to get aggressive. I'ma beat the pieces. All my brothers on the street, I'm begging you to keep the pieces really going down. About to throw it down. Come together, throw your fingers up. Say it with me now, motherfucker, the Prime Minister. Yeah, boy, said it, you can bet it, I'm a beast. I got goonies in the jungle, I got scholars who can teach. And it's about to be a problem, I ain't jocking, never leash. And there ain't no way around it, all you gonna ride with me. I got them looking at me funny. Everywhere I go, I got them looking at me funny. Maybe cause I'm Nate, got them looking at me funny. But even on the reds, they be looking at me funny. Hey, get up, I wanna see you get up. Hey, 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 get up, I wanna see you get up. Hey, 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 hey.
Good afternoon. It has been a insanely busy, well, the morning was. The afternoon's not quite so bad. Hadn't told.
Yesterday, North Dakota looked more like a war zone than the...
Oops, sorry about that. I have no idea why that went to autoplay. I don't have my settings to autoplay, so... Anyway. So... I had a Blue October decal to get out, which I actually shot a video of me putting it together, which I'll get up on the on YouTube just so people can see a little bit behind the scenes of some of the stuff we do. Had a Prepper Nurse 1 coffee mug to get out, so that went out as well. And last night he had an order for 2 T-shirts, like the one he was wearing on his live show. So I got those made and packaged and sent out too. So yeah, it's been kind of a busy morning. That was my goal, was to be able to get it all caught up and all out, because that's the way we roll. Customers, they come first, and that's just the way it is. Try to get stuff out as quickly as possible. So updates for us. Don't know of any. Everything's aside from what I just told you, pretty well the same. I do have a subject that I want to discuss today, and I will give a bit of pre-warning. It's not for the faint of heart. It's one of those touchy subjects with me, and it's high probability that I'm going to get very upset. Because I've had enough, as many others have. I mean, this has gotten to a point to where it's an epidemic. It's gotten to a point to where it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's gotten to a point that we need to act and do something. Enough just sitting around and just trying to ignore what's happening in this country. and just going along to get along. That time's over, folks. And it's over in just about every area that you can imagine. This happens to be one of the worst areas because it directly affects you and I on a daily basis, okay? The stuff that they do in Washington, yeah, that affects us on a daily basis. You bet it does. But, last I checked, I wasn't having local representatives, for Washington stop by and beating the hell out of me or, threatening my life, okay? They use their enforcers to do that, in which we're going to be talking about. So there was a couple of cases as of recent that has happened, and they are absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Now, both cases involve law enforcement, and both cases are just completely mind-blowing. They really are. And so I'm going to jump into it. I've got a couple videos to show you. I'm going to do the shorter story first, so to speak, and then we'll move on to the. There's two of them. There's actually three stories I'm going to tell you about, but the third one's not going to take very long at all. What the third one is doing is showing you the effect of this, showing you the effect of the people that buy into this, the people that support this bullshit blue line. Okay, it's going to show you the dangers of that. Because, yeah, not only do we have dangers from these assholes, right, that are supposedly acting under the color of law while the entire time extorting us, killing us, totally disregarding our lives, our constitutional rights, okay? We've also got the dumbass assholes that support them. I told you, this one's not for the faint of heart, folks. I gave that warning. This is enough. Enough. My mind has took a twist ever since little sawed-off peckerhead Joe Grimaldi. That was like a line in the sand to me. And he stepped way over it. They want a fucking war? Okay, let's start out with this story here. Achille, and that's the way I'm going to pronounce it. I'm not sure if that's exactly how it's pronounced. Police department suspended until next week, okay? Now I'm going to play this video here because it's going to explain some very interesting things. Now, at the same time, they're going to try to cover for the thin blue lie, but it's going to explain a few things that you're going to pick up on, and then we'll play the actual video footage from the victims. Okay. So anyway, here's the video as reported by the news.
Entire Ashley Police Department has been placed on paid suspension until next week after the City Council meeting yesterday.
News 12 Stan Smith joins us in the studio now. Stan, why is the police department suspended, and what could happen to them after the suspension?
Dan Marine, they could be fired. Actually, Mayor David Northcutt suspended all 4 officers because of how they handled this search of Ashley Baker's home on Monday morning. The police department had a search warrant signed by a judge, but the Board of Trustees and the mayor will go over all body cam footage and testimonies before making a decision regarding the future of the police department.
I haven't resisted, not resisting.
While all 4 officers will be suspended with pay, actually Mayor David Northcutt says termination is a possibility.
There were several issues which some felt arose in the manner in which the warrant was delivered, as well as just other actions that occurred at the residence.
The officers will be interviewed, and the body cam footage will be reviewed by the town's Board of Trustees. 3 out of 5 of those trustees have had recent run-ins with the law. Councilman Lynn Chambers was arrested in December for meth trafficking and possession of weapons during a felony. Northcutt was arrested by deputies in October for meth possession and first-degree burglary. And on Saturday, he was beaten in an Ashley convenience store and was sent to a local hospital. And then this happened at Brian Baker's home Monday morning.
What do you have?
I asked, please let me get my daughter
out, dude.
Michael Coble, who rents a barn apartment from Baker, also had his home searched by Ashley police. He says the gun and ammo police found belonged to him.
So they came in there and got my weapon and tried charging my neighbor with it, which I think is freaking cruel. If it wasn't found in their house, then they should have just packed up and left.
Coble says he was given his gun back. News 12 spoke with an anonymous Oklahoma law enforcement officer with over 20 years of experience. He says he has seen the video from Ashley Baker's phone and police body cam and says the Ashley police were within their rights on the search warrant.
For now, Bryan County Sheriff's deputies will patrol the area and take 911 calls. In the meantime, the chief can work on pending cases in the office. Ashley Board of Trustees will vote on Tuesday night. Live in the studio, Stan Smith, News 12.
Well, 2 people are...
Tire at...
So you heard that, didn't you? A neighbor had a gun. A neighbor's home was searched. He had a gun, legally had a gun, right? And they seized his weapon and his ammunition and tried charging the other people with it. Okay? I'm assuming by that, I'm assuming that they're not allowed, you know, that the gentleman or his wife or both are not allowed to own a firearm. And so that's what the hang-up was with charging them with it. I'm assuming that's the case, okay? So I can't speak to the council members, the 3 out of 5 that had run-ins with the law. 2 of them had run-ins involving methamphetamine. Don't know, you know, I have no idea. Very interesting counsel, I would say, if that's the case. But nonetheless, that is insane. That is absolutely mind-blowing. So here's the thing, okay? I'm going to play the video that was taken by the wife, okay? And you could see better in that video that you just seen that this guy was not resisting, okay? It's hard to tell. I know you hear him say, I'm not resisting, but you'll see in the video I'm about to show you, it's kind of hard to tell whether he was or not because the camera wasn't necessarily always directly on him. But you could see, in the video I just played, you could see he wasn't resisting, not whatsoever. So anyway, here is the video shot by his wife. Oop, hang on, let me unmute it here.
Ready for work! Give me your fucking hand! I haven't resisted, not resisting, and then, what do you have?
I asked, please let me get my daughter
ferret out, dude, don't let me ferret out. What are you doing?
Can I please go get my pet?
Why?
You know what? You're fucking resisting.
Chris,
I'm gonna beat your fucking ass.
Jack!
Stop!
You're gonna tased.
Stop!
Resisting. You're gonna get tased.
I'm not doing anything.
Quit resisting. Quit resisting.
I'm not doing anything, Bart. She's recorded everything.
Okay.
Please call 911.
Y'all are doing this shit to my daughter.
Like, look at my baby. Why did you do that?
Calm down. Calm down, Braylon. It's okay.
Why are you here?
Search warrant.
For?
Search warrant. Same things I told y'all about. Put the baby down because you're next. No, you may not.
Call my
Put
parents.
the baby down.
Call in now. Call my parents. Don't touch my child. Why are you here?
No one's touched. Shut your mouth.
Show me your search warrant.
You have the right to remain silent.
Show me your search warrant.
Please don't make me don't do this in front
Don't do this to my daughter. I want to see your search warrant. I need to get some pants on.
For what, Chris?
Why?
I'm sitting. I'm not doing anything.
Don't touch her.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Stop talking to us like that.
Anything you say will be.
You need to show me your search warrant.
You have the right to talk.
You need to show your search warrant.
Okay, we have a right to see it.
Show me the search warrant.
What you need to do is utilize your Fifth Amendment. You have the right to remain silent.
Search warrant now. I have the right to my attorney.
Hey, just so you know, you're not in charge.
Search warrant.
If you cannot afford a hire
search warrant, and don't touch my daughter.
Shut your mouth.
Don't touch my fucking kid. Chris, you are going to
Craig,
jail.
shut up.
Am I?
Yes.
Just shut up,
Okay.
please.
I'm going to have to handcuff you.
Why?
Put the baby down.
Don't
Why?
touch her.
You understand these rights?
Chris,
Show me the search
I'm not
warrant.
doing anything.
Yeah.
Why do you have
Put
to?
the baby down.
Why?
Right now.
Why
Put the baby
do you
down,
have to
Ashley.
handcuff me?
Do not handcuff my wife.
Seriously. Why are you doing
Put the
this?
baby down because it's a search warrant.
But that doesn't mean
You don't get to handcuff me.
Who can come get the baby? Yes, we can.
Call my parents. My parents are across the street.
Turn around.
I can't even see the search
Come here,
warrant.
Braylon.
John,
Sit
show
by
me
me.
the search
Come
warrant.
here, baby.
Stay down.
Please,
Show me
come
the
here.
search
It's
warrant.
okay.
Get your leg.
Come here.
Why am I having a search warrant?
Come here.
What are y'all doing? Leave my baby alone. We haven't done anything. We haven't done anything. Just tell me what the search warrant is for. You busted the door down my house. There's nothing in this fucking house.
Where is the search warrant?
I want to see the search warrant. My hands, I have severe fucking arthritis.
You gonna calm down?
Cancer.
You gonna calm
Please
down?
let me go.
You gonna calm down?
I haven't done nothing to nobody.
Calm down.
So, as far as I know, if you request to see the search warrant, they have to show it to you. Just like if you ask them to identify themselves, they have to identify themselves. Okay? They refused, completely refused to show the search warrant. Okay? And I know that the gentleman that was trying to read the Miranda rights, and I used the word gentleman very loosely, Tubby there, when he was reading the Miranda rights, he had some papers in his pocket, okay? But he refused to show them, okay? Here's the thing. The only right that they were willing to grant them was their right to remain silent. That's it. That's the only right they were willing to grant them. And, in fact, demanded they partake in that right, okay? Let me explain something. You have the right to remain silent. Okay? You don't have the obligation. You have the right to remain silent, not the obligation. So, here's the thing. A document had surfaced after this, okay, of the supposed search warrant. Get this, signed 2 days after this incident. So the search warrant was signed 2 days afterwards. Huh. Interesting, right? So, as you could tell, whoever did, I can't remember exactly the title of the person that's making decisions or whatnot here, but it appears that the entire department could wind up being removed. That insane or what? Folks, believe me, this case, in my opinion, this case is somewhat minor, right? Because lo and behold, if you happen to be black while picking up trash, that is a insane, it would seem like an insane offense these days, right? Here, viral video shows police officers confronting man picking up trash outside his home. Okay, and I'm gonna play the full video here. Just wanted to show you the headline. Now, the video on YouTube was actually turned sideways, so I saved you guys the crick in your neck, and I rotated the video, and so we should be able to see it correctly, or at least somewhat correctly, after I rotated the video. But that was the only edit that I did to this. I did a simple rotation. That was it. So anyway, this video is a little bit longer, 16 minutes in length. Folks, I had somebody comment when I shared this out, right? I had somebody comment, right? Somebody that claims to be a patriot. In fact, somebody that was one of the final four at Malheur Wildlife Refuge, okay? One of the final four commented on this, talking about how these bad cops make the good cops, look bad. And it's like, good cops? There are 8 officers that wind up here. 8 of them. And not one of them stopped this. Not one of them stopped this. Okay? Show me where the hell the good one is. Show me where the hell the good one is.
Go home. There's a camera on you, officer. Take your hand off your gun.
You're on my property with a gun in your hand, threatening to shoot me because I'm picking up trash. I hope that camera's on.
He's picking up trash and you have your hand on your gun? Go home. Go home. This officer has his hand on his gun, like, cause he's picking up trash. That's a clamp. I used one of those when I worked for New York State to pick up trash on the bridge. Go home. This is ridiculous. What am I watching? Oh my God. This is gross. He's picking up trash. We live here. He's picking up garbage. This is gross, dude.
Yo, Zinio, look at them.
This is gross, bro. I'm looking at them.
I live here. Why do you all four of them look, dude? All four.
Dude, Zaid, let it go. Zaid. Zaid.
You have a fucking gun in your hand. I don't have a weapon. Drop it.
Zaid. Zaid.
Focus on me. What are you doing? Focus on me. Focus on you. There's fucking six of you. Just relax. Put that object down. My property. We just want to.
Dude, there's 6 cops. Zaid has a clamp in his hand taking a garbage.
Boy, video right here. I fucking.
There's a camera right next to you.
2333. I live in room 304.
He lives here.
You are fucking threatening.
This is family.
I live here. I'm a resident of this fucking property. I'm picking up garbage from my fucking dorm. I go to school here. Don't fucking tell me what to do. You guys don't have a goddamn fucking right to be doing this.
No right at all.
I'm a citizen of this country. I fucking pay my taxes.
We fucking live here picking up garbage.
God, and I feel threatened. No. I will not sit down. I refuse to sit down until you guys put your fucking weapons away.
You guys have weapons in your hands. We have garbage clamps. We're picking up the garbage that you created. Zaid, let it go. Please let it go, Zaid. People won't understand.
You came onto my property with your weapons drawn, threatening me at the place that I fucking sleep. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? Don't fucking tell me what to do. What, you're gonna shoot me? No one's gonna shoot me. Or you're gonna tase me and arrest me and beat the shit out of me like every other fucking... No, don't tell me what to do. Get off my property. Get off my property. Get off my property. I'm off the property. Great.
Dude, this is so gross. This is disgusting, bro. This is disgusting.
Really? We got it all on camera. So how do you feel about that, sir? I really don't think that is okay.
We're picking up garbage. What are you doing?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 officers of the law with guns drawn.
8 officers of the law with guns drawn for picking up garbage on our property, where we live. Zaid has a clamp and a bucket, picking up garbage. Dude, this is... These fucking feds, bro. Dude, if I never see one of these feds again, if I never see another fucking fed again, blessed.
For what? Weapons drawn. Put your fucking gun away, jackass. What, are you gonna shoot me? There's fucking cameras everywhere, dude. Are you gonna shoot me? Dude, you said this is a weapon. It can't be used. Do you feel like this is threatening?
You stupid fuck.
Settle down, you're on my property. If you put that down, I'll put my gun away. Why? I told you why. Why? It can be used as a weapon. You're a jackass. You put your fucking gun away. You got it. Yeah. Okay, could you have a seat over here? Now we can talk? Nope. I'm not sitting. You can sit. Hey, what? Okay, these 9 people here told me that you are a resident. Oh, wow. What a fucking surprise. What a fucking surprise. I gave him my ID, and then he started taking down my fucking information, telling me this, that, and the other thing. And then I walk away, and he pulls his fucking taser out on me.
Fucking stupid idiots.
Feel comfortable sitting down around a bunch of fucking murders. This guy was ready to kill me, sir.
Yeah, you just sue him.
I gave him my ID. He knew who I was. I said my name was Nate Ackerman. I gave him my ID. He asked me what the address was. I said 2332. I said, let me walk up to the door and sneak myself into the building. And he refused to let me walk to my house. How is that okay? How is that okay?
It's not okay.
What do you mean?
None of it's okay.
He came out with a shotgun.
None of that is okay.
He pulled out his fucking gun.
For picking up garbage?
I'm a fucking threat.
Dude, this makes me so fucking angry. Oh my god. Dude, my blood is fucking boiling, dude. Oh my god, the stupidity of people. Find something to do, man.
How about that? I fucking live here. I fucking think this is a joke. I fucking live here. You were ready to shoot me down. And you didn't know a goddamn...
For a garbage clamp.
You're wasting all our resources. There's people out there actually committing crime. How do you feel? How do you feel? You're ready to...
He has a shotgun in his hand.
I don't want to talk to any of you boys. I want you guys to get off my property.
Yeah, please leave. Go away.
Why? You already know who I am. You just confirmed who I am.
He's picking up garbage. Go away. We're cleaning up the environment. Go away.
And then you can go. I'm not sitting. And I don't think that I have...
Dude, why would he have to sit? He's fucking pissed. Anyone would be pissed. You're picking up garbage and some fucking faggots are trying to... Oh my god. Go away. You're not doing anything. There's no job. You're not doing your job. There's no purpose here. You're accusing people of picking up garbage for doing crime. He told Zayd to put down the weapon. He had a garbage clamp in his hand. Yeah.
And you can waste our resources when there's people out there committing crimes, right? Or I can get your criminals, right? I can get your name, your date of birth. You have all my stuff. I don't need your date of birth. Why do you need my information? Why are you coming onto my property asking me for my information? This is where I fucking live. I don't need to give you shit. I didn't do shit.
He doesn't need... Yeah, exactly.
I live here. Go get everybody. Call everybody. Call everybody.
Yeah, call the whole fucking station, bro. Bring the whole station here.
I live here. You came on my property and you fucking took my identification, dude. I live here, not you. You need to tell me who the fuck you are. Yeah, you need to tell me who the fuck you are. What's your name?
Yeah, what's your name? Where do you fucking live?
You guys are fucking dipshit. All of you.
Straight dib fucking shits. No fucks given. 0 fucks given, bro. This is an insult. This is disgusting.
You have weapons, you have protection. I'm over here picking up trash on my property.
Out here picking up trash on our property. And you pull out a weapon on the man. You fucking jackass.
You don't give a shit, though. You don't care.
They don't care.
But you don't care. Because he still has my ID. He still holds his gun.
He's still holding the gun. Zaid, please.
On my property.
Please get out of there.
I'm picking up garbage on my property trying to keep my fucking land nice and proper and clean. And an officer of the law comes out of nowhere and starts harassing me. I don't know who he is, and out of respect, I gave him my ID, and I don't know who the fuck.
Out of respect, he gave him his ID.
He's holding a gun.
Then he holds a gun. Oh my god. You guys need to go home.
I'm not sitting.
Go home, bro.
Yeah, he works for us. He's our workstation. He's out here picking up trash. Yeah, on my property where I live.
Please go home. Yo, call Naropa. Yo, get some Naropa officers here, bro. Get the college here. Straight fucking jackass, you stupid fuck. The police are a joke. This is so upsetting. Oh my gosh. Picking up garbage, dude. We're literally just trying to, like, clean up the world a little bit. Out early in the morning, too, you know? Bright and early. It's like 8 o'clock. I don't know what time it is. And these fucking feds. Their stupid fucking heads. And pulling guns for picking up garbage. Yeah, go find something real to do, man.
Hey, they're getting ready. They're getting ready to walk away.
Yeah, good. Please go away. You should have gone away a long time ago.
I got it. Hey, can I get my? Yeah, I'm the director of the facility. You guys are so fucking tough. You know that? Real fucking tough. Hey.
Yeah, real fucking tough. You fucking stupid fuck.
Stuff in a different manner right after it. This isn't over, okay? Just take a deep breath and we'll take care of it in a different, in a different situation. There's people out here committing crime. There's people out here doing real fucking crime. Right. It's likely, you're gonna waste all your resources coming over here. It's likely, you're angry and escalated. And it's likely you got profiled, okay? So we'll pick it up at a different time, not right here, right now. Trying to shoot me.
You fucking profiling son of a bitches, trying to shoot him for picking up garbage, threatening people. Dude, I hope I never see another one of these scumbags ever again in my whole entire life. There's one of him, and there's 8 of him. 8 fucking feds with guns. Anyone would be pissed, bro. Any one of those fucking stupid ass feds would be pissed. Good, you fucking... You're picking up garbage. There's no crime being done here. I understand. This is ridiculous. This is so stupid. It's really funny though.
Where's my object of my weapon? My weapon of choice.
Ah, the garbage clamp.
Garbage. What's that shotgun used for, sir? For killing people. For killing people.
That shotgun is used for killing people, and that garbage clamp is used for picking up garbage. And then they pulled guns on him. 8 fucking cops. Stupid fucks.
Where's my bucket? It's right here. It's right here.
I love you, Zaid. Thank you for picking up garbage
Real work.
with the bucket. Yeah, please go do some real police work. Please.
Okay, you get the gist of it. No need to, the rest of it's nothing. So, I don't know if you noticed or not, but an officer had came over and taken the bucket and the clamp, the trash picker-upper, right? See, this is the problem, okay? This is the problem. How long with, somebody that had some common sense and some common decency, how long would it have taken them to realize what this man was doing? He had a bucket. I presume there was probably already some trash in the bucket, and he had a little clamp thingy, right, to pick up the trash so he didn't have to bend over. I've seen them before. I've had them. Not exactly like that one, but I've had similar ones, right? I mean, really? This is ridiculous. Right? This should have started, if there was a reason why that initial officer was concerned with this gentleman, okay, this should have started and ended real quick like. As in, once you identify what's in his hands, it should have been over with. Should have been over with. I mean, if the cop initially thought maybe it was a weapon, a rifle or something like that he was carrying, it wouldn't have taken but a second to realize that it's a clamp. Okay? And it should have ended. There should have been no backup. There should have been no 7 more officers arrive. Okay? It should have been done. It should have been over. With an apology from the cop saying, oh, I'm sorry, from a distance that looked like it could have been a rifle or a shotgun. Now I see what it is. I'm sorry to bother you. Please go on about your business. Have a good day. Pretty simple, right? And anybody with any type of human decency would have reacted that way. But this is the problem, folks. This is the problem. A lot of people might think, well, you rant on cops an awful lot. You must be anti-police. No. I'm anti-tyranny. I'm anti-police state. I'm anti-totalitarianism and authoritarianism. That's what I'm anti. I'm not anti-police. Police used to be something decent. Police used to be something that should have been respected, should have been held high. But now they aren't nothing but pieces of garbage, pieces of shit, extorting you for revenue for their masters. It's got to stop. And they won't even come to the table. They won't even hold the guilty accountable. But yet, you have sawed-off little peckerheads like Joel Gamaldi that are talking about, oh, we got a target on our backs. No, you don't. And when you do, you will well know it. I guarantee you'll know it when you do. And keep it up. It'll happen. See, once you affect a certain amount, there's a tipping point. And they're reaching it. They're reaching that tipping point. In other countries, with people that are much less complacent than we are, like France, never thought I would say that. They've had, 4 nights, I think, of riots in France? Because of their ignorance in the police? It's in the news. We'll go over it here momentarily. But see, it doesn't just stop with these scumbags. Okay? If we're seeing it boil over into the citizenry, we're seeing it expand. It's not only the blue buffoons. Now it's their supporters. Now it's their supporters, and that's going to be the next story, and then we'll get on with the regular news headlines and go from there, right? This one happened near St. Louis. Man, 65, charged after Amazon driver shot during argument over Target store parking lot, and it was a handicapped parking lot, right? Last I checked, although I highly disagree with somebody that's not disabled parking in a handicapped parking spot. I've got a big issue with that, right? But you damn well don't deserve to be shot in the back because of it, do you? Or even assaulted because of it. There's a thing called a citation, okay? And what this jackass should have done was called police. But no, he decided to take this into his own hands. Why? Well, I'll play the news, and you can hear it from there.
Firefighter killed in the line of duty. Emergency workers. He just came out of surgery this afternoon and is now recovering with 2
Hang on a
fire
second.
response yesterday afternoon. Reporting live in Godfrey, Emily Pritchard.
It started with a different
two-time
story.
graduate of the St. Charles Citizen Police Academy is the man charged with shooting an Amazon delivery driver. We are learning much more this afternoon about 65-year-old Larry Tomlinson, who was charged today with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Our Russell Kinsaw was there when prosecutors revealed more details about what happened. He is live for us this afternoon at the St. Charles County Courthouse.
Claire, right now, that 21-year-old Amazon driver is in the hospital, and he has no feeling in his feet. His name is Jaden Walker. I spoke with his mother a little earlier. She said he has only been driving for Amazon for a short time. St. Charles County Prosecuting Attorney Tim Lomar spoke to reporters here at the courthouse just a short time earlier. He said what happened to Walker was tragic and senseless. Investigators are now saying Tomlinson took a picture of the Amazon van in a handicapped parking space and posted it to his Facebook page as he went into the Target store. When he came out, authorities say Tomlinson confronted Walker, punched him, and tried to shoot video of him with his cell phone. There was a scuffle, and the two fell to the ground, and Lomar says as Walker was getting up, he saw Tomlinson's gun on him and tried to run away. Lomar said Tomlinson had a concealed carry license, and this incident boils down to an issue of responsible gun ownership.
The training that anybody gets when you're being trained on whether it's concealed carry or any sort of firearm safety, you don't point a gun at something unless you intend and are okay with destroying that thing. And he knew that. And that's what's so sad and tragic about this situation.
Now, Lomar said that Tomlinson was a volunteer with the city's CERT team, their community emergency response team, and a volunteer with a local organization that supports police and firefighters. Again, Lomar said he should have known better. Now, News 4 is speaking with Jaden Walker's mother, and you're going to hear from her coming up all new on News 4 at 5. Live in St. Charles, Russell Kinsaw, News 4.
Did you hear that? He worked with organizations that worked with the police department. Okay? So apparently, because of the environment that the police now have on its subjects, on us mere peasants, okay, now anybody that supports the police in any way, all of a sudden now, and you're seeing it happen in many, many other stories, all of a sudden think that they have the right, too, to just gun people down. Nobody has the right to do that. Nobody has the right to do that. Unless somebody pulls a weapon on you, what right do you have to even pull a firearm on them? And I'm very pro-gun. I'm very pro-Second Amendment. I'm very pro being able to protect yourself and do it damn well judiciously. I'm all for that. But there's also a thing called restraint, right? Which should be used up until the point that your life is actually in danger. This is a trend, okay? You know, there's a lot of talk about civil war in this country. The thing of it is there's so many damn sides to this civil war, nobody's going to know which end is up. It's not just red team against blue team. There are so many sides to this. And we can either make a choice and have a mutual understanding that first we need to deal with an out-of-control government, including the government enforcers, and deal with that? Or we just fight each other like it's happening today, while the government just runs roughshod right over us and nothing gets done. Nothing. Which I think is the intention. I think that's the intention. Somebody in chat earlier mentioned about getting, could this be a prelude to getting UN police in here? And I think it certainly is. I think that's part of it, plus the federal police force. I have no doubt of that. Absolutely no doubt of that. And people that think the current president is going to be able to do anything about that, they're wrong. Because I'll tell you what, this government is not in control of this country. That's where we have to start at. We have to start at the root of the problem. If people think that the president or our current government can actually have any true lasting effect in this country, you're silly. This country is not owned nor governed by the government. It's not. Major banking industries, major corporations, that's who pulls the strings in this country. You're going to see what happens. I don't think it's too far out. I really don't. People are getting tired of it. And that's when you're going to see the real strings get pulled. When the people get tired of it and the people start fighting back, that's when you're going to see the strings get pulled. See, we've got a double-edged sword here. Either way, this is coming. Whether we start fighting back, and then the police, all of a sudden we're overloaded, boom, there's your UN troops or your federal police. Okay? Or, if the police are finally declared incompetent, like they should have been long ago, then you've got UN troops, UN police, and federal police. Little bit of something for you to chew on. It's right around the corner. It's knocking on the door. Absolutely unbelievable what's going on in this country. Okay, let me run over. I don't have a whole lot of news stories for you. I'm just going to run through them real quick and we'll get on with the rest of the show. Court documents say 11-year-old shot trooper dad over video games, threatened another shooting if he didn't get them back. See what I'm saying? That's a son of an officer. Apples don't fall far from the trees. We aren't slaves. Erdogan defies U.S. pressure over S-400 deal with Russia, says S-500 may follow. You better bet it will. You better bet it will. Whether it's here domestically or abroad, this government is out of control. And it will get slapped down. Because believe it or not, we are not the big boy on the block. We are not. We are at a technological disadvantage. Big time. I used to have a hat. One of my favorite hats as a child said, "The bullshit stops when the green flag drops." It was one of my favorite hats. I got a kick out of it. Probably because it had a cuss word on it, but I also liked the message behind it because I like drag racing. And, there's a lot of rhetoric and essentially bullshit in this country that we're still, the military superpower. We're not. We're not. We've got decades of the decaying systems. It's unbelievable. And we got behind. We've been fighting useless, needless wars in deserts. Okay? Wasting all that money and that time. And I believe in a country having a strong defense. I believe a country should have a strong defense. But our money was going to fight needless, useless wars. instead of advancing our technology, advancing our military. And the troops we were putting over there in those useless, senseless wars were getting crap equipment. Hey, fight that, come back home, get declared with PTSD, lose their firearms rights, have to deal with the VA system. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Su-27 intercepts and chases U.S. spy plane away from Russia's borders. Hawaii sues, and I know the name of that company is probably not Hawaii, but that's what I'm calling it. Deal with it. Hawaii sues U.S. government over federal ban on its equipment. A U.S. court grants legal rights to aborted child as would-be father sues clinic on behalf of fetus. Good for Alabama. And I've got a couple bones to pick personally with Alabama, but good for Alabama. Good for Alabama. It's time fathers get some rights. Israeli Navy ready to block Iranian oil exports in transit, says Netanyahu. How do you like that? California court rules it's unconstitutional and undemocratic to count citizens during census. Well, the sad thing is, the only reason California says that is, the issue with the illegal immigrants. Okay? That's why California is up in arms about it. The only reason. But yeah, the entire census, the entirety of the census is unconstitutional. Absolutely. Torched cars and firebombs, French city hit with fourth night of anti-police violence. That's what I was talking about earlier. When are we going to grow some balls like France? How many people find that statement absolutely odd? Right? It's awkward for those words to come out of my mouth, but they have to. When are we going to grow some balls like the French? However odd that sounds. U.S. trade deficit soars to decade high of $621 billion despite Trump pledge to bridge the gap. Telling you folks, stop expecting a group of people to fix something that they have no control over, for one, and that are in on it. I mean, come on. Right? I'll tell you what, send me all your money, right? Just send all your money to me, and I'll investigate for you where your money went, okay? BRICS Bank to issue loans of up to $40 billion by 2022. This is a huge threat to the U.S. dollar. Huge threat. FDA approves ketamine-based nasal spray to treat extreme depression. Third patient reportedly cured of HIV, an incredible medical breakthrough. And I'm going to step out on a limb here and say they mean the fourth patient because don't forget about Magic Johnson, right? Everybody forgot about Magic Johnson, that Magic, my ass got infected coach, that guy, right? All of a sudden, one day he's got AIDS, the next day, oh, nope, I'm good. So, fourth patient. Russian aluminum giant Rusal reports 40% surge in net profit despite U.S. tariffs and sanctions. And I already covered that earlier. So, anyway, that's. I didn't think I was going to get done before the hour was up. Not that I'm beholden to an hour or anything like that for the monologue, but I just want a better place for all of us, right? I think that's what being a patriot is. I think being a patriot is not standing up for your own rights, but standing up for the rights of others. That is being a patriot. Okay? Just worrying about your own rights, that's just being selfish. I'm worried about your rights. And I also believe in leading by example. And maybe if I worry about your rights and if I show in my actions and my words that I'm more worried about your rights, then maybe you'll be more worried about mine. That's the hope. And then if that spreads like a disease, our country can be free again. Our country can be a place of pride. It can be what our forefathers intended it to be. But we got to start worrying about the other guy or girl. I hope we make it. I don't think we have a lot of time left. Anyway, that's going to be it for the monologue. I want to thank those out there that may have been involved with the Amazon affiliate links. Wow, there's some awesome stuff I see. I don't have the ability to see like who orders what or anything like that, but I can see what is bought. Okay, and wow, somebody even ordered a wind generator. That's awesome. Pretty cool unit too. I looked at that and I'm like, wow, I was impressed at the price. I think it was like $176 or something like that for a 500 watt 12 volt wind generator. How awesome is that? So thank you for those that participate in the Amazon affiliate link because it helps, you know, and we heavily appreciate it. We highly appreciate it. I took a loss when I paid nearly $65 for a video camera that turned out to be junk. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't expect, to have some television production quality video camera. That's not what I was looking for, but I was at least looking for something that would do relatively clear 1080p video at 30 frames per second, and what I get is 720p for 30 frames, and it's kind of grainy. The 1080p will only do 20 frames per second, so... nevertheless, that money, right, that we get from the Amazon affiliate links is probably going to go towards actually a worthy camera. So we've got something decent. That's at least what I'm thinking at this point, unless something happens that I can swing it beforehand. So, because that is on a priority list for us, is getting a decent video camera. Because I really want to get this intro video done. I've got some other ideas that I want to do. I want to expand what we do here at the Watchman News, and you guys are helping that by participating in the Amazon affiliate thing. It doesn't cost you anything more, throws a little bit our way, and it's a win-win for everybody. So thank you very much. Anyway, that'll be it for the monologue. If you're here for the live show, don't go anywhere. Don't do anything. I'm just closing up the monologue here. I know it confuses a lot of people. They think I'm shutting down. I'm not. I do the monologue video kind of separate, so I kind of close it up on its own, So just stick around. Don't go anywhere. For those that just watched the monologue or the recording thereof, thank you very much. As always, God bless you. We love you, and be one with your spirit. All right. Let's see. Not to bring you back in on a guy that looks like he smoked a few too many blunts, but... let me get you guys a video. Actually, I'm jealous, I think. Let me... I know I'm horrible. Let's see. I should have had that. I should have had that. No. Let's see. Something is very wrong with me, but that's okay. I like it that way. Let me go ahead and start out with this one from Rogue Preparedness. She's got one here titled Black and White Fire Starters Review Plus Giveaway. It's one of her Prepping 365. This one is number 246.
Hey everyone, Morgan here. We're going to get a little pyro happy today with some fire starters that we have from Black and White Fire Starters. They have so many fire starting items. It's amazing. So I'm really excited to try out this stuff and to see how this is going to work. So first of all, what we're going to kind of show you here is a few items that we have. We have some fire chips and then some fire starter wood blend. Here, this will be after, you would use any of these other fire starters here. Now this looks like a really nice little just bundle of fire starter here. This comes in a nice little kit, and we're going to crack this open in just a second to kind of look at this kindling and all these fire starters. It also comes with matches, and it comes with some directions, which is really nice. We're going to look at that in a second. And then there's also some, extra fire starters here, more fire starters, all the fire starters. Okay, so we're going to get fire happy here. Let's go. Inside of these instructions that are on the back of this little packet here, it says materials used: jute, pine wood chips, wax, carbon, cotton fibers, and oil. Those are very great materials to use for fire starters. So I'm pretty excited to see how these are all mixed together and how they're going to work together. It talks about the resealable containers, which is what I really like about this kind of stuff. So, like with this, so, you can open this up, and then it has a resealable container. They're also extremely lightweight, and this could probably make several fires. But as you can see, there are layers to it. It's not just, you're getting just pine wood shavings and, wax or something like that. And also with these comes in little individual ones, so you just rip apart and then just use the individual, which is very smart. So we're going to go ahead and first test the Fire Fuzz. One of these should do the trick. Fluff it out a little bit. This does not feel like a standard cotton and Vaseline. It feels a little bit different. It's probably the cotton Vaseline and wax. That's what I'm guessing it is, but you want to fluff it out a little bit. I can't do anything with just a lighter. And why should I? It went up perfectly fine. I'm actually going to, with this one, I'm going to try these these fire starting wood blend. See if they catch. Oh.
Immediately.
Look at that. It caught just like quick. Woo! It smells really good. Ooh, look at it go! With just these two items, look at how good this fire starter is. I'm extremely impressed with this so far. Just two items. This and I even just used 2 of these chips. Look how much I have left over for more fires. Is this one with the real nice layers here. I'm going to try to get a good chunk of it. I'm going to be very careful cutting this out. Look at that. Beautiful. So I do kind of have to cut this out a little bit. Ugh. Oh, look at that. Got a whole thing going on here. Okay. There. I did a bad strike and it still lit up. Look at that. Okay, so with this one, sprinkle a little bit of shavings over there. This one, I'm going to use the black and white fire chips. Oh my gosh, they smell so good. There's some kind of oil. There's obviously some kind of oil. I mean, you can see it as I put it in. There's some kind of oil in the chips. Drenched in oil and somehow. That's what it looks like. But man, look at it go. It's just engulfing those chips. If you can't get a fire going with this, there's something wrong. Okay? So I'm really loving this combination as well. This black and white and then the fire chips. Again, I only used 2. Look how much I have left of both of these. These could start mini fires. And they're very lightweight. This, of course, has a little bit hefty to it, but, they could start a lot of fires. All Alright, so we decided to suffocate it. These chips alone are going to last a while. Look how little, this was in about 4 minutes. Look how little it actually burned and could still light. Look how much fire starter there is left of this. These could still burn for quite some time. What we're going to do here is these came in the whole package together. I'm not actually going to test this. This looks like the same as this, but this came in a nice little package together with the matches. So one thing I do want to look at is the kindling to see what the difference is between this and like the fire chips that I've just been using and stuff like that. It says active ingredients: pine wood wax, food grade oil, carbon, and honey. And this is all made in the United States. Oh my goodness, look at this. Wow. That looks awesome. I wonder if I can shave it. Oh, baby. Look at that. Ooh. Oh my gosh, I can just smell it. It smells so good just cutting it up. Alright, so I'm gonna not suffocate it, but alright. Okay. Oh, it smells so good. Look how fast it's going up. What happens if I put the whole thing on there? Oop. Making it into shavings works really good, but let it go up. Try to catch the inside there. Yeah, it will. I could hear it. See it. I have tried a lot of fire starters in my time, okay? Commercially made, DIY, and I am extremely impressed with these black and white. As you can see, the proof is in the video. You know, they're very easy to light up, and you know, if I could do it with a ferro rod, then you can do it with a lighter, matches. You know, you can do it with probably some flint rock. I mean, these are just, they take a spark like that. Okay, so because I am super impressed with this and I want to share these fire starters with everybody, I am doing a giveaway of several of their fire starters and the Kindling 8 pack, sorry. That's the one with these big fire starters here. In the meantime, I want you to go down to their website. It's going to be in the description box down below this video. Go check out their website. Go check out their products. Support them in any way that you possibly can. I know that I'm definitely going to be upping my supply of some of this stuff because it's lightweight. It's going to last forever to get a nice fire going. This is something that I would rely on a lot. So in order to enter this giveaway, all you got to do is put black and white down below in the comment section. I'm going to be running it through March 10th at midnight. This is US only. Sorry everybody, it's got to be US only contest. Thank you all so much for watching, and again, go down below and support them and get to their website, look at all their products. Thank you all so much for watching. Conquer tomorrow, for preparing today. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.
Alrighty, got one here from Suspicious Observers. His morning report is titled Worst Flood, Best Eclipse, and Solar Pulsations. Kind of sounds obscene, doesn't it?
Good morning, folks. Big show today, starting with a little look at Uranus' magnetic field as he entered Taurus overnight for the next 7 years. We've got gems to polish here, so let's begin at spaceweathernews.com and find the last day on our star with the most impressive lunar eclipse so far of the SDO season. Right now, southernmost point in the orbit of SDO's circle, just crept over the sun-moon line. Since it was the southernmost point in its orbit, went right back the other way. Bright spots here are the active regions, and the northern sunspot group grew, but did fade in intensity as it did so. We've had no solar flares, and the solar wind even calmed back after that brief uptick yesterday. More intensified streams are likely on their way from these coronal holes, and the IMF-driven seismic watch has had us looking to the West Pacific, if you recall from 2 days ago. Luckily, that one well out into the water off New Zealand. Let's go to Afghanistan. News regarding their flood keeps getting worse. They cannot catch a break now after suffering through their record drought leading up to this storm. Worst luck imaginable. Powerful storms struck Sonoma yesterday. Meltwater and the deluge hit a creek that overflowed in near record time. And speaking of records, yeah, this is still going on as well. March 7th, spring approaching, but someone forgot to tell the jet stream. Speaking of cold, Chinese drillers got through the Antarctic ice and found a piece of the land that they and other governments secretly know will be habitable after the next great cataclysm. More on that in just a moment. But first, let's look at a spot of good news for those who carbon dioxide keeps up at night in fear. Fourth confirmation in 1 year that wetlands are already doing their part to eat the surplus. We're at this next one for 3 reasons. First, a very hyped press event will occur soon, detailing major shocks from the gas giants in our system. Second, it's always good to be reminded of the lower-level magnetic field structure of Jupiter and its multi-node structure in the north. And third, because this video has achieved sentience and has been taking over other news articles, like this squid one. The folks at Science Direct were helpless as the Jupiter magnetosphere video took over their squid article, not having anything to do with Observer World, but very cool looking, and since they got shafted on the site, here are fluorescent squid chromatophores. Top story, and drawing us back into the catastrophe cycle topic, the major solar flare of 2017, which we luckily saw edge on as it turned out of view, had a quasi-periodic pulsation at the order of and 1 harmonic higher than the pulsations we discovered in the heart of sunspots with Iris. We call those ones the heartbeat of the solar system, and these, unquestionably related at least, and likely the instability interaction with the pulsation. In just a few hours, episode 20 of the Earth Catastrophe Cycle series will come out, and it's about the solar disaster, including an interview with a name many of you have been waiting for, and most people don't know what he really thinks. We greatly appreciate your support. We've got wind maps and shots of our star to close. Come back in a few hours for episode 20 in the Catastrophe series. We'll do this all again tomorrow, right here, but right now it's 4:30 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
Alrighty, let me get you another high-quality production. Let's see, The Prepared Mind. Hey, there you go. He's got a video here titled Pros and Cons of Barter in SHTF.
Hey, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I'm John. I'm the host of the channel. You guys are the audience, but guess what? We all share our ideas, our thoughts. I get to bring up a subject. You guys get to join in. So I've got a pretty good one for you tonight. And yes, it's tonight because I need to get to bed really early and then get up really early and head to work. Because I guess us taxpayers that pay for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's programs, we got to pay our taxes, which means we got to get to work, which means we need a good night's sleep. So let's get to it, and I'll make sure you have this when you're watching it in the morning. Alrighty, I think I want to start this video with a little personal history about myself. I'll keep it short. You know, brevity is the soul of wit. I grew up, had friends, joined the Marine Corps, got out, came home, And there were two groups of us, and we had similar interests, motorcycles, four-wheel drives, and drinking beer. Anyways, there were two groups of friends. There was an older group and a younger group. And amongst one of the older group was the leader. And I call him a leader because he was a business leader. He was an opportunist. He paid attention. He did very well. And last time I talked to Dean and saw Dean, he was very successful as a businessman. What I noticed about Dean was he was always on the winning side of a business deal, meaning he positioned himself so that he didn't have to buy or sell, but when opportunities presented themselves, he did very well. Right? He was a good businessman. Never took advantage of anybody, as far as I know, and from what I saw. Now, when shit hits the fan, if it's super Captain Caveman Armageddon, look the fuck out, right? You may not want to have anything to do with anyone. I'm sure I won't. If all I do is hear the sound of gunshots and people screaming in terror, I don't want to have anything to do with people. But if it's a shit hits the fan light, okay. I may look around and say, it might be okay, right? It may be okay to talk to people, right? Form a little loose network community, not a bad idea, for common self-defense and purposes of prosperity, to whatever degree that, someone might consider prosperity and shit hits the fan to be true prosperity. But when you're hungry and you don't have food, you're poor. And when you're hungry and you have food, you're prosperous. Shit hits the fan is going to be full of things like that, don't you think? Right? Don't you think? So this idea of self-reliance and bartering. Now, what's an advantage to self-reliance? You're not having to rely on others. You're not having to expose yourself to others. You're not having to go without. And there's psychological as well as physiological repercussions of being starved out, literally, of vitamins or minerals, or good water. You can operate on minimal amounts of water, but it's called minimal for a reason. Right? Your body, in order for premium health, premium energy, awareness, you need a lot of water. Those sorts of things. So let's just assume, for argument's sake, that we're having shit hits the fan light. There's the occasional gunshots, the occasional screams of terror, but it's not an all-day, everyday affair. Right? So I'm not saying things are normal, but, everyone's not dying, not yet. So, self-reliance, if you're able to rely on what you have as a prepper, right, what good would it do you to barter? Well, you can keep totally to yourself, minimizing risk and exposure. It's a good idea. But if it's not so bad, perhaps your neighbors, other preppers in the area, or would-be preppers who are doing all they can to get by, they would see you as a potential ally. If they're doing okay, right? If they're getting along, if they're making it, if they're squeezing by, if they've got something you want, then that's terrific. You can barter, right? You can trade for it. You're already self-reliant, but they may have something you want. They may have something you need. Now, of course, a good businessman never lets the trading partner know that you really need it, even if you do, right? You always play the hand Sun Tzu style. And if you don't have Sun Tzu's Art of War, I recommend buying it. It's an inexpensive read. It's very popular. Get a copy of it, read it, and it just makes perfect sense. It's kind of just a contrarian approach to everything you do. When you're strong, you act weak. When you're weak, you act strong, etc., etc. So when shit hits the fan, we have a shit hits the fan light. Self-reliance, premium. But there are benefits. There are premiums also to bartering. Now, a little bit of the negative, even in a shit hits the fan light, is the people that you're helping out today, well, next week they may be out and turn on you. They may believe or feel you have something that they want and need that they can no longer get because they're out of trade and barter items. Now, in that case, that's the way it goes. You're going to have to be the best judge, the best determinant of what is happening. If you're in shit, it's the fan light, and things continue to degrade, to get worse and worse and worse, well, hell yeah, you can expect that people will turn on you. even people you've helped out in the past. After all, every human being is an opportunist, looking for the best deal they can get. And they may be a good business partner one day, and the next week they may become the worst type. So you're going to have to keep an eye on the hood. You're going to have to keep an eye on your allies, their behavior, their health. Very important to watch people's health. If they start to deteriorate, their thinking is going to go south. Right? They're not going to think clearly or come to logical conclusions and behave well as a result. So it is still your responsibility as the ultimate shit-it's-the-fan participant, right, to keep that as part of your plan. Once again, look at opportunities. Think about opportunities. This is a whole other world, by the way. To get into this position, I need a couple of scotches or a couple glasses of wine, a couple of beers, to start thinking what is going to happen inside and imagining it. Not just my world, but your world, that 10-mile radius around you. Who lives there? What is their thinking? Are they intelligent? If they are, they may be more judicious about getting into a gunfight. Are they ignorant? Will that make them less likely to take and make good decisions, or will they shoot first and ask questions later? You need to decide for yourself what they're going to do and what is in your area. So get out there and find out who is in that 10-mile radius around you. So I think it's important that we remember our business skills. And as a businessman, it's just what I do. It's part of my thinking. We need to be opportunistic in life right now. Finding good deals. Best positioning ourselves financially, right, socially, in all ways. Because we'll benefit by that. That's what a smart person does. Putting yourself in a good position. And being opportunistic. Not in a negative, evil, asshole kind of way, but rather paying attention. You need to be aware. Right? You need to be looking for the good position to be in. Right? You need to make good decisions. When shit hits the fan, a big part of that is going to be having a good supply of food and water. So that you're well energized, right? So that your psychological perspective is up. Right? You're going to need to keep that up. It's going to be hard. Even in shit hits the fan light, it's going to drive people nuts. And look how the world, the U.S. and the whole world kind of fell apart during 9/11. They were in a state of psychological shock. When shit hits the fan, even if it's a shit hits the fan light, you need to understand people's thinking. It's not going to be all that sharp. Right? And you're going to want to be 10% smarter than anything you're working on. I tell that people all the time. They're working on something, they can't figure it out. I go, all you got to do is be 10% smarter than the problem. You'll figure it out and have a solution. Of course, you get the evil eye from that and get called a smart ass. But, right, it helps. All you got to do is be smarter than the problem, and you can excel through it. So, being aware, using good logical thinking, and being prepared will help you to get prepared for shit hits the fan and then get through it. Whether you need to go more along the lines of self-reliance or whether bartering or a combination of all those things. But it's the prepared mind, right, that chance favors, is yours. I really enjoyed this video, had fun getting ready for it, thinking about it, and I want to thank you guys for participating here. So do your very best to get prepared. Keep a sharp eye, right? Stay frosty. Very important, because chance does favor the prepared mind. You guys be cool. Semper Fi. Godspeed. Talk to you tomorrow.
Oops, sorry about that. Was pouring myself a cup of coffee because I can. Alright, let me grab you a video here. I didn't think that was going to end on me that quick. Otherwise, I'd have been right here. Let's see. We'll catch up on these here in a moment. Kind of scrolling through. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one from Suspicious Observers. It's another one of the Earth Catastrophe Cycle videos. This one's titled Galactic Superwave.
Hello, I'm Paul Laviolette. People tend to put concepts into boxes, and the superwave idea can't be easily put in a box. It's quite complex and complicated. People tend to think that I am proposing exterminations of animals on the Earth by superwaves, and I'm not. All the superwave does is it brings cosmic dust into the solar system, and that's the problem, is the dust. And the dust is the sun sort of draws it in, and then it surrounds the sun and heats up the sun. The star is going to get very aggravated. It's not going to be like solar cycles, you know. It's going to be continual flaring, causing more catastrophes than meteorites and comets hitting the Earth. They occur more frequently. Core explosions, they call them, galactic core explosions. They occur cyclically. These things do happen quite frequently, but superwave cataclysms can last, in one case, 4,000 years, like at the time of the extinction of Neanderthals. We don't see them coming. It takes us by surprise. You know, you see the bluish-white star in the sky. That indicates the core has exploded and is putting out maybe 100,000 times more energy than it was before. And that creates a sort of a galactic wind that pushes this dust into the solar system. It overpowers the solar wind. And then, so to speak, all hell breaks loose in our solar system. These dark clouds start coming in, the strange forms in the sky, luminous, leery features in the sky. The first 3 days would probably be the worst, based on seeing an eruption that happened recently in another galaxy. So you should try to get cover, you know, tunnel or somewhere underground, escape the radiation, because, you know, superwave, it's not as bad as the sun, but it can pack quite a wallop for radiation. The killer radiation, though, comes from the sun, and that's when the superwave with its cosmic dust has aggravated the sun to the point of super flare size, like what killed the large mammals, the megafauna at the end of the Pleistocene. And we see evidence of these having happened during the Ice Age, in particular. A bunch of dust came into the solar system around 13,000 years ago. And then we were hit with the big super solar flare. It caused climate to go from Ice Age cold to current temperatures just in a matter of days. So here the mammoths were there, and then when the solar flare hit, it kind of flash melted the surface of the ice sheet, produced all these lakes up there. And then you had these dam breakings, and then one lake dumped into the next, and you got this avalanche that came down, and it was just a wall of water going maybe a few hundred miles an hour coming forward, maybe half a mile high, and hundreds, if not 1,000 kilometers long. And anything in its wake would just get pulverized and deposited, bones and everything. Magnetic reversals are caused by these solar events, these super solar flares. Like at the time of the extinction of Neanderthal, that occurred about 41,000 years ago, and that reversal was very rapid. In my dissertation and then the first paper I published about superwaves, I had proposed that these reversals are due to solar flares, and these create a magnetic field opposed to the Earth's magnetic field. So they end up weakening the Earth's field to the point where it almost goes to zero. And we see this at the time of the Neanderthal extinction. The field went to only 5% of its current level. And during that time, there's no protection, and all those solar cosmic rays come in, and well, they got the lethal dose. Now, why we, the humans, managed to survive, maybe we stayed in our caves. It happened at the time they died off was right at the time of the biggest superwave event in the last 100,000 years. I mean, it's the highest beryllium 10 peak in the record there. And in Earth Under Fire, for example, I study flood myths from all over the world, myths about the sun burning the Earth, about the people going in caves to get away from the catastrophe, and so on, stuff like that. Science still has not caught up. I mean, they're going to finally learn it a little too late when the superwave arrives, I think, which might be quite soon. But we'll see. Unfortunately, it's a very depressing situation.
And yes, that is a very good series. If you haven't seen the Earth Catastrophe series from Suspicious Observers, it is a must-see because he hits the nail on the head on what is going on, and it's insane. Yeah, I'm actually reading a good book now by William Forstchen. It's titled 48 Hours, and I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I don't think it's going to bump any of the top 3 out of their place, simply because those books are just beyond incredible. The top 3 books, for those that don't know, in my mind, and they're post-apocalyptic books, SHTF books, and they're all related to EMP. Starting out with the, and they're not books or series, I better correct that. Starting out with the Survivalist series by A. American. If you haven't read that or don't have that, I highly suggest you get your hands on a copy of this series. There's 10 books currently in the series, followed very closely by a book series called The Borrowed World by Franklin Horton, and it's a very close second, very, very close second. In fact, in some people's minds, it would probably overtake the Survivalist series. So The Borrowed Mind by Franklin Horton would be number 2. Number 3 would be William Forstchen, but it's his 1 Second After trilogy. Very, very good books. But the book I'm reading now is just a single book. There's no series, and it's titled 48 Hours, and it's about not only a CME, but something called a CPE. And I think it's coronal proton ejection, if I'm not mistaken. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. So, and in the book, it's pretty good. A CME happens, and apparently it's going to be followed by a CPE. And what's going to happen is in the book, what they suspect what's going to happen, it hasn't happened yet, is that a CME comes, and it takes 48 hours or so to get to the Earth. It's on its way to the Earth, and that's going to push back the magnetosphere. And then they suspect that there's going to be a CPE while that magnetosphere is pushed back and the Earth is vulnerable. Then the CPE is going to happen, and just absolutely, which just takes like a matter of seconds to reach the Earth, and it's going to just completely irradiate the Earth and wipe out. It's an extinction level event. Anyway, really good book. I'm not quite halfway through it yet. It's a good book. I'm enjoying it. I really am. William Fortune is a good author. So is Angry American, or A American is what you'll find it under. And then of course Franklin Horton. Really good books, folks. Really good. Okay, let me grab you another video here. We got one here from We Are Chained. Oh, wait, I never did play Prepper Nurse 1. Hang on, let me get his video. Sorry about that. I seen it in my email, and I keep forgetting. Okay, here's Prepper Nurse 1 with what are you going to do with your garbage and waste after a event? Well, I'm going to save a lot of people trouble. I'm just going to throw myself in the dumpster. Anyway, here's Prepper Nurse 1.
Hey everybody, Prepper Nurse 1 here. Today is March 7th. It is Thursday, 2019. One of these days I'll get it consistently right that it's 2019. I don't know why I keep saying 2018. But anyway, very nice day as far as clear skies go. This morning we had more snow, so the panels I had to clean them off twice this morning. But just like a light dusting of snow both times, so it combined maybe an inch. But so today's actually warmer. It's like 18 degrees today, even though the sun is out. But it's going to start getting warmer starting tomorrow. It's supposed to be like 38 tomorrow, and so I'm definitely ready for warmer weather. I'm so done with all this freaking cold and snow. I'm ready for spring. I'm chomping at the bit to get outside and get going on stuff, to be honest with you. So, anyway, so let's jump into the topic of the video. Sanitation and garbage, okay? So, after SHTF, what are you going to do with your garbage? What are you going to do with your sanitation? How are you going to get rid of your waste? Alright, so a lot of people I don't think about this because, again, I'm going to use the scenario that the power's out, okay? Let's say we're going to use that as the scenario. There's no power, so if there's no power, the pumps aren't running, you're not going to be able to flush your toilets and all that good stuff. So, you know, you talking about a city like New York City with that many people in there, and you're still going to have people going to the toilet every day, you know, urinating and defecating. Where's all that waste going to go? Now, and then you're looking at all the garbage from all these people, all the stuff people throw away on a daily basis. Nobody's going to be coming to pick all that garbage up. So what happens to all that, okay? So if it's just dumped in the street, which a lot of people will do, now you're going to be looking at a hotbed for disease, infestation of rats, a lot of sickness. You're asking for trouble is what you are if you do it that way. So my suggestion would be for if you can do it, being it in the city or being you know, wherever you are, is figure out an area that you want to use for sanitation that's a little higher elevation so it doesn't get down into the water table, and dig yourself a nice hole, and then you have a latrine, and that's where you want to try to go to the toilet. So, you know, there's always some place that you could dig up to use as a toilet, okay? Now, I know like New York City, they have the sewer system, but the sewer system, that will dump right into the rivers. So if you're dumping your waste right into the sewer system, that's going to eventually go into the rivers, and it's like, and think about that number of people, it's going to be really bad really quickly. You're going to be polluting your rivers and everything else. Not that they're not polluted in the cities already as of right now, but polluting it even worse, okay? So, again, one of the suggestions that I would have for people would be to stock up on lime. You know, a 50-pound bag of lime is going to cost you about $8, I think it is. It's not expensive at all. And what the lime's going to do is it's going to break down that waste, and it's also going to mask the smell. So it's a win-win. Wood chips are another thing that you could obviously use to help break down that waste and again, mask the smell. I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to use wood chips for a place like New York City, but you know, that's just giving you a couple of examples of things that you can utilize that are going to help you in that type of a situation. Because the smell is going to be probably one of the worst things. And again, you don't want to attract rats and rodents and those type of things, because that just breeds disease. I mean, you know, so anyway, so then on top of that, we're going to talk about garbage. What are you going to do with all this garbage? So a lot of garbage can be burned. You know, obviously the only thing that really can't be burned, you know, aluminum cans can be burned because they will burn, but you know, your metal pans or, you know, those type of things, you know, are not going to be able to be burned. But you know, cardboard, plastic, all that type of stuff, that all can be burned. So that's a good way to get rid of a lot of that waste that way. So, you know, these are things I think people don't think about. When you have like these huge cities that we have in our country, and you have that many people concentrated into a small area, you know, that can get ugly really, really quickly. And you know, even in the country, I mean, without proper sanitation, you're inviting trouble. You know, so again, like even out here, you know, holes would have to be dug. And, you know, people would have to go back to the old-fashioned way that people did it 100 years ago or 200 years ago. You would use an outhouse. So, you know, those are things that, you know, and again, it's all about planning and thinking about these things ahead of time. What are you going to do? Having a game, like I said, when I talk about game plan a lot of the times, guys, these are the type of things that I'm talking about. You got to think of all these different things. It's not just food, water, Band-Aids, and bullets. That's not the whole gist of what you need to prepare for. There's other contingencies that you really need to think about ahead of time, and you know, so those are things that you really got to take into consideration. So, you know, your waste, you need to really think about that. How are you going to deal with it in a post-event? And again, like I said, your garbage. What are you going to do with all that garbage? I mean, you know, obviously a lot of stuff would be gone through fairly quickly, but you don't want to just have, you know, a big pile of cardboard sitting around and then it getting rained on and wet, and it's just, like I said, it's just it breeds an area of just really, it could be really, really bad very quickly. I remember there was a strike, and I believe it was back in the 70s in New York City, where the garbage men didn't pick up the garbage, and the garbage just piled up in the streets. And what came with the garbage? Rats. So, you know, those are things that, you know, you want to take into consideration. You want to think about if you can plan on something and think, okay, where would I put a latrine? You know, like if you're in the city, okay, or even in suburbia. Let's talk about suburbia, too. It's the same type of situation. So, you know, maybe after that event you can coordinate with neighbors and say, okay, well, we need to start, you know, digging some latrines because we're not going to be able to use the toilet so much. And think about once those toilets are all backed up in your house and how bad that's going to smell. So getting, you know, latrines dug and you know, and set up that way. I mean, you dig a deep enough hole, I mean, for a family of, you know, 4 or 5, you can use the same hole for years and years and years. So it's realistically, it's something that's very, very doable, and it'll be, you know, it can be done very easily. But a lot of people don't think about it because we've had the modern conveniences of the flush toilets and everything else, and every convenience is right there, and you don't have to deal with it. But in a post-event, these are situations that need to be thought about. They need to be planned for. Again, like I said, having lime. Lime is probably going to be your best way to go. Wood chips, if you have the access to get wood chips, they're nice to have, but what are you going to store, a great big huge bag of wood chips, and how long is that going to last you in that time? So lime is a good thing to have, even if you know, even within an apartment. You can pick up a 50-pound bag of lime and stash that away someplace and just put it out of the way, and then you just have it, you know. But again, like if you're in the cities, you're talking about a massive scale of people all wanting to go to the toilet and, you know, trying to deal with that in that type of situation. Now, I definitely want to hear your guys' feedback on this because I think it's important. The other thing that people are going to don't think about is now, like, after you've used the toilet, you know, not having running water, how are you going to wash your hands and stuff like that? Because the last thing you're going to want to do is not wash your hands and then go like prepare food or whatever, stuff like that. You're opening a whole nother can of worms of really bad things that can happen. So proper sanitation is a huge thing. You know, hand washing is going to be big because it's like you're going to keep down on the germs. Because again, remember, after SHTF, there's no more going to the store to get antibiotics. There's no more going anywhere to get anything anymore. So you're going to have what you have. And so if you haven't prepared accordingly, you're going to be in deep trouble in a hurry. And a lot of people are going to die just because of stupidity and poor planning. So these are things that really need to be taken into consideration, that people need to think about. And, you know, again, I mean, who knows what the event is going to be, guys? I mean, it could be some kind of super bug that goes through and kills off 75%, 80, 90% of the population. Now, in a situation like that, now you're also going to be dealing with waste disposal of bodies. So there's another thing to think about. Okay, how are you going to get rid of all these bodies? And the best way, honestly, to get rid of bodies is to burn them. Absolutely the best way to get rid of the bodies. So, you know, it's there's a lot to think about. You're going to want to try to keep things as clean as you possibly can. Proper disposal of waste, proper disposal of garbage, proper disposal of the dead. So those are things to really, really think about. I mean, you don't want to leave the dead bodies laying around getting all bloated up and gassy, and then, you know, then you try to move them later and then they're all falling apart. When somebody dies, it needs to be taken care of rather quickly, and you can't bury everybody, and you're going to have an issue if you try to do that. So, like I said, burning the bodies is the best way to get rid of it. And again, there's another way you can get rid of your garbage at the same time, is doing it like that. It sounds kind of crude and it sounds kind of horrible, but it's a reality that really needs to be thought about, okay? So I'd love to hear, obviously I want to hear your guys' feedback on this topic. I think it's a really important topic. It's one that's not really talked about a lot because, you know, people don't want to talk about their waste issues, you know, and stuff like that. But you really need to think about that ahead of time before SHTF happens and have a game plan. Again, guys, it's better to act instead of react. And if you have a game plan in place ahead of time, life is going to be so much easier overall. It really will be. So those are things I want you guys to think about. So, you know, just let's think about those different type of things. But, so I'm going to kick this around real quick again and just show you the beautiful sky today. Even though it's cold here at the homestead, like I said, it's like 18 degrees. It is absolutely gorgeous. The sun's been out. We've brought in decent power today for this time of year. You know, the days are starting to get longer, which is nice, but, you know, it's all coming together. And pretty soon I can get to work on this project over here, get those trees going. We're going to get the chicken coop going, and we're going to get that solar rack going. So somebody had asked me, and I wanted to just address this really quickly, and they made a comment, so I thought I would address this. When I do my live chats, somebody had asked me, what do I do with my donations as far as when people, you know, donate in the live chat? Anything that I make, guys, is going back into the homestead. I have a tremendous amount of projects that I want to do, and that obviously takes money. So any donations that anybody gives in the live chat, or if they donate directly to the channel or whatever they do, you know, that all goes right back in to helping us get things done here, to make us more viable, to make our lives better. And so and I love this here, so I'm going to show you my lovely Santa Fe. Somebody had said to me, you know, oh, it looks like you got a brand new SUV. This is a 2006 Santa Fe, and I have had it since 2008, and it is now 2019. So I've had this vehicle for 11 years. I do not need a brand new vehicle. Don't want a brand new vehicle. I like my vehicle. It gets me to where I want to go. It's my point A to point B vehicle, and you know, so I don't need anything super fancy. That's not what I'm about. I've never been about, you know, trying to impress people or, oh, look at what I got, I'm so important. Not about that at all. Never cared. I'm a jeans and t-shirt kind of guy, so that's what I've always been, and that's what I'll always be. But like I said, I have projects here that I want to do, so any donations that are given all go right back into the homestead to help support us, to help us with projects, and those type of things. So, that person had asked, so I thought I would just share that with you guys. So, it's not like I'm out having big fancy dinners or anything like that. It's not my style. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to jump off here for now. Remember, we are all in this together. That's important to remember, and I think a lot of people lose sight of that. Remember also, hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every single day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We never know what's going to happen. And remember, guys, STD. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one that's going to stop you from getting there is yourself. That's it. Nobody else can stop you, okay? So stay positive, stay focused, stay away from negativity, and you're going to be just fine. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great night. Prepper Nurse 1, out for now.
Alrighty, let's see here. Got one from Dabu7 here titled House Judiciary Committee Approves Bill to Legalize Medical Marijuana in Kentucky.
In Kentucky, we have the House Judiciary Committee approving House Bill 136. This took place Wednesday night in Frankfort with the vote of 16 yeses to 1 no, and this equaled a pass as they approved HB 136, and this will look to make medical marijuana available for up to 60,000 Kentuckians that need it. This bill legalizes marijuana grown, processed, and dispensed in Kentucky to Kentuckians recommended by Kentucky doctors. This consensus legislation was crafted based on the input of numerous stakeholders and will improve the quality of life for our fellow citizens suffering from chronic pain and life-threatening illnesses for which no traditional medicine has been effective, St. Ange has said. Now, notably, the bill no longer allows the consumption of medical marijuana by smoking. It also prohibits the homegrown element formerly in the legislation, which allowed up to 6 plants to be cultivated by patients themselves, and establishes a list of qualified medical conditions to provide guidelines for a recommendation. A strong majority of Kentuckians support medical marijuana. In addition, a strong majority of House members do too. They're saying now is the time for us to provide for our people this remedy for their ailments through these numerous studies, and for this to be effective, it's time for us to let the doctors decide. So, right now we have people stepping up that suffer from epilepsy and seizures, saying that this is the only thing that helps them, and we have doctors agreeing at this point. So they're taking a step here in this direction. Wanted to make mention of it. I'm going to leave links below. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for more. This has been Dabu7. Much love.
Alrighty, gonna do one from We Are Change now, titled Huge Illegal Immigration Surge While DHS Tracks Journalists. Yeah, sounds like the U.S. government.
So obviously, the majority of the people who learn about the Chinese social credit score are terrified when they find out the details. They know it is wrong, and they know that it should be condemned. It, of course, is a system, like a credit card score system, for citizens' behaviors, and the government deems your behavior either good or bad for society, rewarding you with, of course, privileges, and hurting you for, of course, bad behavior in, of course, a poor score and loss of privileges that has already led to millions of people being stopped from traveling, from getting on airplanes, from getting high-speed internet, from even sending their kids to a good school, all because the government says, we don't think your behavior is good. And, of course, that behavior is questioning the government and questioning any authority. Now, obviously, a lot of people see that this is wrong, but don't understand that this is ultimately a test and a bigger blueprint for, of course, the Western world, not only with your iPhones, but also specifically with the latest developments that are happening right now in Japan and, of course, Canada, that are absolutely terrifying and read out like they are from Minority Report. If you haven't seen that movie, it is becoming more of a documentary than, of course, a fiction film. Now, Jason, what's the latest that is happening with this technological advancement of pre-crime reporting in Japan?
Well, Luke, it's pretty astonishing that we've finally gotten to the level that CCTV camera footage that's already in place throughout the Western world, throughout places like Japan and China, are now being utilized by software to identify people who are sweating, fidgeting, acting in an unsure manner, and basically mapping out these behavior patterns to spot pre-crime before they actually shoplift. And when you look at this information, this is going to go way beyond Japan, as the Gartner report, and I know a lot of people are not familiar with what that is, but that's a big data and analytics company, has been predicting this for years and saying we are right now on the cusp of it being initiated.
And people need to understand that private corporations like Amazon, which are really big, huge monopolies and becoming monopolies that you can't ignore, they're really on the forefront of this, as Amazon is building facial recognition AI technology that they're not only giving to local police departments, but also ICE here in the United States. And this is why there's even Amazon stores right now that have no cashiers, and you could just pick whatever up you want and walk out very conveniently. Of course, this big tech surveillance is being sold to you for your safety, for your convenience, and it's absolutely the total opposite of that. And to understand that, you just have to understand history and the horrible past that has been very common in our human existence, that government usually doesn't care about your safety or your convenience. They care about power and holding on to power. Which brings me to what's happening in Canada, which was an original report done by Dan Dix of PressForTruth.ca that reported on this first, talking about how now in Canada there is a database that is tracking people's negative behaviors for a, quote, risk database. This is another technological advancement already in place that people don't even know about, people don't even talk about. That, of course, has records from the police officers, social services, health workers, and more, a huge database on you to see if you are a risk to society. Again, this is, sold to you. Safety, convenience. In reality, it is nothing but. China is the perfect example of that because, again, it is used against people who are smoking in non-smoking areas, people who are jaywalking, people who spit their gum out. And some people say, yeah, this is a great way to have a perfect, amazing society. But again, that's a totally, absolutely insane argument. The bigger argument that needs to be made here is, of course, the political aspect that is being used against journalists and other people who are trying to hold government and power authority, who are getting punished by these Chinese systems. And if you think it won't happen here, holy cow, you are naive as, I don't know, what to even say, Jason.
No, absolutely, Luke. This is a pattern, and Japan, Canada,
even your iPhone, without even people knowing it, the iPhone also tracks the conversations you have, rates them, and you can't even see it. You're not even privy to that information. So this, again, the form of slavery could come in two main ways: the government or the kind of private corporate sector. This is why we call out both. This is why we're not left or right, because that's pretty much the main kind of dichotomy here. You're either with the privatization of corporations or you're with the public and the government. No, it's all a big scam, because the bigger thing here is centralization. When you have so much centralization, when you have so much power, when you have so much information to literally have pre-crime reported, to literally have a rating system in check, this is terrifying. And this is the thing. People need to wake up. Look what's happening to certain members of society that doesn't like their political ideas here in the United States. Some people are being turned off from even having a bank account with Chase Manhattan. With Chase Manhattan going after specific right-wingers, PayPal going after, of course, people that don't like Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all banning people, erasing them for being able to exist in this new digital day and age. And people need to realize this social rating system is in the United States, but it's in the hands of a few tech monolith companies and yuppies up in Silicon Valley that decide, oh, you have the right to speak or not in this larger public discourse, or even financially exist, which is crazy.
Yeah, and when you start talking about the data that's harnessed and whether it should be government or privatized, let's be honest, they share it with one another. And all of this big
the Five
data...
Eyes Treaty, which people need to look up. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
No, all of this big data ever since even the late 90s, has been funneled through national security apparatuses, and a lot of this was confirmed with the Snowden leaks. Now, if you want to look at a consumer level, Luke, today I had a conversation with one of my longtime friends who's actually a car salesman, and he admitted to me that the margins on sales of cars are so minimal that they are now making more money by people unknowingly enrolling in programs in which their cars track, trace, and database their entire lives. In other words, every mile, every drive, how fast they're going, what towns they're going through their GPS. This is all sold big data style, and it's that profit that car dealerships are actually making their money on, selling other people's information on the cars they've already sold them.
Yep, that's the big kind of financial interest. It's not advertisements, it's you. You are the product. When something is free, you are the product. You are being sold here with your private information, and people need to realize you're being surveilled more than you think, and you don't even know about it or even see it. And the ways that this kind of technological advancement is congruing with our society, it is terrifying, and people need to realize and wake up where this is going and stop supporting companies like Amazon and understand where the trend is going, which is where it is in China right now, where even we have a New York Post article right now, and this is just total blatant propaganda, and their headline here is, "Believing conspiracy theories might make you a criminal." Study. What? I mean, this is the most asinine article that you could imagine. Maybe we could even do a whole video just about this article, but it says, go figure, if you're a birther or a 9/11 denier, chances are that you aren't much fun to be around. Like, again, conspiracy theory, the term was weaponized by the CIA, used by the CIA to discredit people, especially after JFK, but they're saying people who question things are more inclined to actively engage in antisocial behavior. So we're seeing this. Oh, are you going to be antisocial in China or Japan or Canada? Well, now the police are going to be watching you, tracking you, watching every step of the way, really towards, oh, you know what? You don't even have to be guilty of a crime. We're going to arrest you before you commit a crime, allegedly. And the potential of misuse for this are so blatant. I mean, bring on the Terminator Society, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the whole thing. This is far worse than that dystopian film that we will and are dealing with right now.
Yeah, Luke, and when you read this thing, it's absolutely unbelievable. Again, if you question 9/11, and we've already known they lied to us for almost 2 decades about just the Saudi Arabian role, I mean, that's confirmed, but if you question that, you're a 9/11 denier. And then you're associated with people that believe that aliens built the pyramids. And if you question anything about Obama's birth certificate or his identity or the fact that he was named Barry Soetoro and came up, pretty westernized, you're a birther. So all these little terms, it's just like when me and you started questioning 9/11 back in 2004, 2005, there wasn't a term for it. And we talked about 9/11 Truth Now and Let's Investigate, and they made it into a truther. And now if you're a truther, well, you're not just questioning 9/11, Luke, and it's not a negative connotation towards that. You believe in the flat earth, or crisis actors. So they've done a very good job in trying to smear these terms, but the bottom line is more people are asking questions than ever before, and that's why they have to come up with nonsense headlines like this one.
Yeah, it's psychological warfare. It's disinformation meant for you not to get the bigger picture here, not to act accordingly. And of course, these messages are very supposedly controversial. This is why we were one of the first YouTube channels to get censored. This is why we're still dealing with demonetizations and other crazy algorithm changes. This is why people can't even interview me and put my name into YouTube. Their videos and channels get demonetized right away. Absolutely insane technocratic Chinese social credit score that we already live in, and it will get worse until we wake up and start taking the right actions not to incentivize them. This is why, again, time is now to really take away this trajectory towards this Terminator enslavement path and put it towards one of decentralization, of freedom, of liberation, and of privacy. That's going to be the key issue that a lot of people will not talk about on the corporate mainstream media, including CNN, where they have their anchors eat human brain and literally speculate about black holes swallowing airplanes in Malaysia. That's what they do. That's okay. They're fine. They're fine by all their rules. This is why they don't care about the truth. This is why this is all just a big power grab. Don't let them grab you. Wake up, pay attention, don't buy on Amazon. And again, thank you for allowing us to have this voice with independent media with your support. Stay tuned for more here on this channel and more reports coming every single day.
Yeah, don't buy on Amazon unless you use our affiliate link. Anyway, hey, it is what it is, right? I mean, I could give you a list of companies to completely avoid Walmart being... I'd rather see somebody spend money with Amazon than I would Walmart, to be honest. But both of them are monsters, so it is what it is, right? Anyway, let's see. Got one here from Full Spectrum Survival titled EU Starts Economic Plunge. Russia vows militarily protection. I think that's supposed to be military. Let me start that over. EU starts economic plunge. Russia vows military protection for Venezuela.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Full Spectrum Survival News. Today is Thursday, March the 6th of the year 2019. The global economy is set to drop. That is according to international economists that warned that the cracks in the veil of stopgap measures that were put into place and meant to keep the world moving in a forward motion economically are becoming visible to the average person, to you and me. The European Central Bank made a major shift in their policy earlier today. They unveiled plans for rarely seen measures in order to stimulate the Eurozone's faltering economy. This happened less than 3 months after they phased out a $2.9 trillion bond buying program, making it the first rich country or wealthy country central bank to ease policy in response to a global slowdown. The president of the European Central Bank had the following to say in regard to this slowdown. The weakening in economic data points to a sizable moderation in the pace of the economic expansion that will extend into the current year. In short, things are getting worse. There is a wealth reversal taking place that will soon affect each and every one of us to varying degrees. In other news, as the apparent stalemate for control in Venezuela moves along and as the United States of America works to deliver on the promises that it made to U.S. allies and the Venezuelan supporters of change through near guarantees that current ruling President Nicolas Maduro would soon be removed from power one way or another, replacing him instead with a Western-aligned leadership model in a coup attempt that we have seen happen time and time again, Russia has now politically vetoed an action in Venezuela, and more importantly, in an interview that was published this week in Russia, the government has vowed to defend its oil assets in that country, in the nation of Venezuela, militarily, and to the toughest manner possible. The news article plainly shows the proxy war for control and power going on between both the United States and the Russian militaries and governments, and it should act as a reminder that these two powerful countries are vying for inches of yard space in order to place their fence, giving the altercations a resemblance of a dispute between physical neighbors. However, one day that space will no longer be enough, and the fight for this control will move beyond mere inches as it is now, leaning instead toward open war that demands physical control to keep their respective governments in power. Modern pharmaceuticals and conglomerates that create current neurological treatment options and look to create a lifelong customer out of a person who is afflicted with the disease, rather than help that person to the point of remission or complete curing, are pushing back hard against a trend in the scientific community, a trend that is acting on the behest of a society that is calling for action in response to extreme corruption in the chemical pharmaceutical industry by altering research habits to discover natural alternatives to Western medicine, alternatives that we can each create and adhere to at home, finding a way to self-treat with positive net effects to our health. This is a very important research move. Researchers at the University of Southern California have found that a diet containing compounds found in green tea and carrots and oats has the ability to reverse Alzheimer's symptoms and diseases in test animals that were afflicted with the development of this neurological issue. The following is directly from the research study. Quote, "You don't have to wait 10 to 12 years for a designer drug to make it to the market. You can make these dietary changes today." This is very, very encouraging news for us. For the study, the researchers used two distinct compounds, EGCG, which is a key ingredient in green tea, and FA, which is found in carrots, tomatoes, rice, wheat, and oats. When asked how it works, researchers stressed that one mechanism appears to be the natural ingredient's ability to prevent amyloid precursor proteins from breaking up into the smaller proteins, which are called amyloid beta. These gum up Alzheimer patients' brains. In addition, the compounds appeared to reduce neuroinflammation and oxidative stress in the brain, key aspects of Alzheimer's pathology in humans. Please make these changes with Kelly and I this year. Our ability to think quickly will never be more important than it is during a crisis or disaster event, one that will take place in our world's future. In other news, researchers and caretakers are warning that first-line responses to the Ebola epidemic ongoing in the Democratic Republic of Congo are failing to control the outbreak. They warn that the virus runs the very real risk of slipping beyond all control and containment measures and gaining entry into a country with more people per square foot, less controllable environments, and even mutation, marking this disease as one that must be monitored by our community in the coming weeks. As always, we'll be posting the links to each one of these stories to our Patreon page. A special thank you to all of our Patreon members for making it possible. This week's Full Spectrum News is also brought to us in part by MRENation.com, our community's resource for meals that are ready to eat. You can choose from one of the hundreds of ration packages that they have available, or you can build your own that fits your needs and your diet. Use the code FSS10, you'll receive 10% off of your order. From Kelly and I to you and yours, please stay safe, keep watch, and we'll see you tonight on the night shift.
Alrighty, and a little bit of breaking news here. Manafort gets 4 years in prison for financial crimes unrelated to Russia. So I just noticed that as breaking news with RT. So, okay, continuing on, we have survival prepping for normal people with a video titled I'm like playing tug of war with the rawhide with blues. So. Survival prepping for normal people with a video titled Fun Ways You Can Resist Tyranny. Does it involve rope?
Hey guys, welcome back to Survival Prepping for Normal People. Well, you know, after those videos I did yesterday got me thinking along a different kind of track. And it's true, somebody made a little comment in the comment section about how prepping and truther channels and survival channels and, you know, things like that, we tend to bring up a lot of issues, but we don't really bring up a whole lot of solutions. I mean, we do in a way, but it's more abstract. You know, hey, learn survival skills and get prepared. I mean, that's the ultimate solution, right? But I wanted to talk today about some fun things you can do to resist tyranny. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, okay? You don't have to organize some kind of backwoods militia or something like that to resist tyranny. There's lots of ways to resist tyranny, right? There's lots of kinds of tyranny out there. So don't fool yourself that it's just guys in black uniforms and jackboots kicking in your front door. Now, that's like, you know, the ultimate tyranny, right? That's the ultimate expression of tyranny. You get hauled off to re-education centers, or as they like to call them, fun camps. Okay, don't go. Don't get on the bus. No. And that makes me nervous when those people talk about building high-speed trains. Well, I bet the Soviets wish they had some high-speed trains to get people to those gulags lickety-split, right? So anyway, what are some fun things you can do to resist tyranny? Well, believe it or not, I know the weather's not really cooperating, but it is almost springtime. So it'll be the opportune time to plant something. If you're a gardener, then you're already making your plans. You're already getting your stuff ready. You probably already started your seedlings and whatnot and get ready to transfer those guys after we're out of frost danger, right? Which, with the way the weather's being, who knows when that's going to be. Whole other episode. Anyway, plan on planting something this spring that you can grow and eat. If you have flower beds that you're not really using, that you don't have plans for, plant some tomato plants in there. Some jalapenos, something you can use, something you can eat. And after you plant it and you nurture it and you grow it and you take care of it and you harvest it, learn how to preserve it, can it, dry it, whatever it is you got to do. Plant something, grow yourself some food, because I see that as a much needed skill in the future. Even if there is no apocalyptic event, even if there is no hard crash, food's not getting any cheaper, none of us are getting any richer. So one way you can resist the tyranny of the system that they have you locked into is to learn to produce your own food. You don't have to grow everything you eat. You don't have to grow everything you consume. Just start a little bit at a time and add to it. Especially if you're new to gardening, the learning curve, there's a lot to know. Okay, you're going to fail. If you're going to fail at gardening, you know, this plant's going to die, that variety's not going to make it, this doesn't really work in my soil type. Whatever it is, the things you need to learn, fail now while you can. You don't want to fail later when your life really literally might depend upon your ability to grow food. So gardening is an excellent hobby. It's a very zen thing to do. It calms you down. You kind of let go of your cares of the world, and you get your hands dirty, and that's always a good thing. You're doing something, and then when your plant grows and you're sitting down to have a salad, and it's with lettuce and tomatoes and things that you grew yourself, there's a lot of pride to be taken in that, and you taste it, and it tastes so much better than the stuff you get from the store. Obviously, you know it's non-GMO. It hasn't been gassed. It hasn't had all these weird, wacky things done to it so it can survive its 2,000-mile shipping cycle. Sit in the store for a week, and then you finally buy these zombie tomatoes or whatever else you got. Okay? It's very satisfying to grow your own food. And if everybody grew a little bit, that's less of our energy we have to put into the machine so that we can be fed. You know, you can talk about being a patriot and being ready to resist tyranny and all that, but if you can't feed yourself, you're not going to resist anything for very long. And the people that pull the levers and run the big machine, they know that, right? We feed our pets. They probably can't survive very long without us feeding them. Then what does that say about people who depend on the machine or the matrix for their food? So one way you can resist tyranny, grow some food, learn how. If you have room in your backyard and you live in a place where you can get away with it, build a little chicken coop. Get yourself a couple chickens. Raise them up. You can go buy a little bitty book somewhere. You can download one from Amazon, The Care and Feeding of Chickens. It's not really that difficult. Okay? You keep them healthy. You keep them protected. They'll start laying some eggs for you. Learn what you can about chickens. Raise them up. Worst case scenario, if you've got 2 or 3 chickens, well, that might be enough meat to feed you and your family for a couple days in a terrible situation. Right? And if you get a rooster and you got hens, well, you can make more chickens. Okay, now you've got 3D printed chickens the old-fashioned way, right? So if you've got room, raise yourself a couple of chickens or rabbits, whatever your thing is, right? Something else to think about. And there's something very visceral, very real that connects you to your animals and your plants. It's almost like stepping outside of the hamster wheel that we're all constantly on and getting back to what it really is to be a human. You're doing things that people have been doing for 10 or 20,000 years. And it's the feeling of making your own food literally from beginning to end, from seed to salad. There's something very satisfying about that. So that's some fun things you can do to resist tyranny. Another thing, if you haven't gone fishing in a while, weather gets a little nicer unless you're into ice fishing, which I'm not, but it doesn't freeze where I live anyway, not really. But when the weather gets a little nicer, go find your closest fishing hole, a place that's clean, where the water's as clean as you can find it to be clean. You know, you don't want to eat a bunch of fish that are high in mercury. But find you a clean, reliable place to go fishing. Catch some fish, take them home, clean them, fry them up, whatever it is, and eat them. Go out and get yourself some of your own food. That's another thing you can do to resist tyranny. Now, if you live near a coastline, and 70% of the world's populations do, go do yourself a little bit of saltwater fishing off of a pier, off of a jetty, a break, the beach, whatever. Go catch yourself a decent fish and take it home and eat it. It's good. Nothing better than fresh seafood. But obviously, you know, don't go fishing next to the nuclear power plant, whatever the case may be. Use your discretion. But that's something you're going to need to learn to do anyway if you don't. And if you do fish, and most people do, it doesn't hurt to go check your equipment, buy yourself some new line, get yourself some new hooks, go out there and sharpen those fishing skills. That's another great thing you can do to help resist tyranny. What is something else you can do? Well, like I said, the weather's starting to warm up. Get active. That's the natural cycle of the human being, especially those that their ancestors don't come from a tropical environment. Those that live in a more temperate or a more northern climate, like people with European ancestry, let's say. Okay, our cycle is to kind of hunker down for the winter, and our activity level picks up in the spring and into the summer and into the fall, and then we kind of fatten up and get ready to hunker down for the winter again. So another way to get back in touch with the real you is, as the weather starts to warm up, get active. Gardening, fishing, good way to do that. Start walking in the evening. Walk before you eat a meal. You won't eat as much, and you'll notice that your energy level will start to go up. A half a mile, whatever it is. Because if shit goes down, you're going to be walking a lot. So get active, get healthy, start drinking more water, less processed drinks like soda and things like that. Okay, start drinking more water, detox yourself a little bit, exercise a little bit. It's that time of year when your body would naturally start to shed its weight anyway. Take advantage of your natural human rhythms. They're in your DNA. You'll feel a lot better. So, yeah, they want to keep us sick. They want to keep us fat. They want to keep us unhealthy. Resist. Take care of yourself. That's a fun way to resist tyranny. Spend time with your kids. Get them off their video games. Get them off their TV. Get them off of YouTube. Take them outside and do some stuff with them. Go camping on the weekends. Grill a steak in the backyard. Have your son out there with you. Teach him how to grill a steak, or your daughter, or whoever. Okay? And when you're doing your gardening, get them involved. If you decide to get a little chicken coop or build one, which is even better, go online. There's a million different ways. There's a ton of YouTube channels about building chicken coops. Some of my first videos are about gardening and building a chicken coop for my son. Get the kids involved. They love it. Teach them how gratifying and fulfilling it is to put their hands in the dirt, a little patch of dirt. It can be a flower bed. If you live in an apartment and you've got a patio where the sun gets on it, go buy a 5-gallon bucket, put some potting soil in there and grow a tomato. Teach them how to do it, and then when it's ready, eat it with them. You'll be imparting knowledge to them that you have no idea how invaluable it will be in their future. You think food's expensive now. Do you think that people are losing these skill sets now? What's it going to be like when your children are your age? Are they going to have skills they can pass on to their kids? And I talked about that the other day. Your DNA is the DNA of survivors. Losers throughout history, up until recently, and that's going to be a whole other video later today, haven't been able to pass on their DNA. They haven't been sheltered in a way, you know, it was make it or break it. There was no fake it till you make it, okay, in history. So all the things I'm talking about, those responders, those good triggers are there. Take advantage of those mechanisms. You'll feel a lot better about yourself. And like I said, get your kids involved. It's fun. Go outside and play with them. Teach them how to play hide and seek. If you've got woods nearby or a place you can go, take your kids into the woods and just go for a walk. Play little games. Learn to identify plants. Learn to identify birds. Teach them places where snakes and stuff would hide so they don't put their hands in there later on. Things like that. it's going to be the most beautiful time of year. Flowers are going to be blooming. Sun's going to come back out. Leaves are going to start to sprout. Take advantage of that. Do some fun things to resist tyranny. And if you want to expand even beyond that, if you've got a couple of dusty old rifles in a gun case somewhere, or a cabinet, or a safe, get them out. Go buy a .22. Take the kids out and shoot some cans. Teach them how to be safe with firearms and how to use them effectively so they'll be confident with them. Teach them that they're not the evil instruments of destruction that the rest of the world is trying to brainwash them to thinking that they are. A lot of you guys don't live in the country. Find a way to get out of town. Go to Uncle Bob's house, wherever it is, whatever it is you got to do. Get off the grid as much as you can and go do some of these things. You'll feel a lot better for it. It's a lot of fun. You know, most of you guys that are my age or older, you know about shooting, you know about fishing, you know about gardening. Pass those skills on. If you don't have anybody to pass them on to, you know what? Dust off those old skills, dust off those synapses, get the cobwebs off, and do some of that stuff. Remember how good it feels to be connected to the earth in a non-tree hugging, weird, fringy, hippie kind of way. Those aren't the only people that are connected to nature, right? All of us should be, because that's where we came from. So do some of those things. Unplug a little bit. Don't worry about the Mueller report. Don't worry about what Kim Jong-un is doing over there in Ping Pong, Korea. Plant a tomato. Take your kids fishing. Go for a walk. Look around your neighborhood while you're out walking when the weather warms up. Do a little situational awareness exercise where if there was a roving band of bad guys and you knew they were coming, could you and 10 of your neighbors defend your neighborhood? Where are the choke points? Where are the defensive positions? What places would you use as cover and concealment? How could you move from one house to another? Look around. Do those kind of exercises. Fun ways to resist tyranny. Make it a habit. Make it a way of life. It's a good idea to stack supplies. Absolutely. I have no problem with that. But you can't just be a warehouse. Okay? You've got to practice skills, especially the ones you already know. If there are things you already know how to do, life-saving skills like being able to grow your own food, being able to harvest your own food from the wild, being able to walk through the woods and know not to eat poison berries and shit like that. If those are skills you already have, don't let them go to waste. Pass them on to people you know. Pass them on to your kids and your grandkids. Unplug a little bit. Resisting tyranny is not all about doom and gloom. It's not all about escaping from the FEMA camp. If you do things like that, you might never end up there in the first place. So I wanted to spread a little positivity today and some good vibes. You know, it can be so doom and gloom. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Just because it's the end of the world doesn't mean we can't look forward to it. Go have a little fun. Weather's turning. It's getting to be the most beautiful time of year. Spring is in the air, all that. Have a little bit of fun. Get some sand in your toes. Get some dirt under your fingernails. Go catch a fish. And then eat them. It's okay. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being on the team.
Alrighty, let's see. Okay, here is High Impact Flicks with a video titled, "You're Now Clinically a Criminal If You Don't Believe MSM and Government."
This video is brought to you by Virtual Shield VPN. Hide your identity, your activity, and your location with one of the best, least expensive VPNs in the world. Virtual Shield doesn't keep logs, will never sell your data to a third party, and doesn't store your browsing history. And it's yours for $3 a month with my code. The link is in the description. Neither public relations teams nor social engineers rest as they parade their multi-layered propaganda campaigns on different levels of mainstream and social media. They are manufacturers of consent and masters of mind control. And to underestimate their power is to set yourself up to be ensnared by their web of ever-adapting product placements for their propaganda. Tracy, one of my subscribers, sent me a link to this article from the New York Post entitled, "Believing in Conspiracy Theories Might Make You a Criminal." This article comes from a supposed study from phys.org from the University of Kent entitled, "Belief in Conspiracy Theories Makes People More Likely to Engage in Low-Level Crime." This title is more of an absolute statement. So right off the bat, they're trying to shove a thought into the collective minds of the masses and in your mind that if you believe that people conspire to do things that are designed to deceive the public, you are likely a criminal. As if people don't dismiss you already when you don't toe the official story spewed by mainstream media and government sources. Now we can expect that mentality to be even more evident. The study reads, people who believe in conspiracy theories, such as the theory that Princess Diana was murdered by the British establishment, are more likely to accept or engage in everyday criminal activity. The New York Post adds, if you're a birther or a 9/11 denier, if you believe that no human has ever walked on the moon, or if you believe that the ancient pyramids were built by aliens. That's the main finding from new research by psychologists at the University of Kent and Staffordshire into the wider impact that conspiracy beliefs can have on behavior. Professor Karen Douglas of Kent School of Psychology was one of a team of 4 researchers to show that belief in conspiracy theories previously associated with prejudice, political disengagement, and environmental inaction also makes people more inclined to actively engage in antisocial behavior. Part of this could be the fact that people who buy the tall tales of government and mainstream media sources don't want to talk to you and tend to distance themselves from you if you question official stories. By the way, think about this. If you're not a so-called conspiracy theorist, then you're a coincidence theorist. A conspiracy theorist simply believes that powerful people who have a lot of influence actually use their power to maintain or grow that influence. A coincidence theorist, on the other hand, believes that everything happens by sheer coincidence. They believe there's no such thing as corruption, deceit, or backroom deals, and mankind has managed to rid itself of the desire for world domination. Which one sounds more insane? In a first study, the findings indicated that people who believed in conspiracy theories were more accepting of everyday crime, such as trying to claim for replacement items, refunds, or compensation from a shop when they were not entitled to do so. So, you're a dishonest person if you don't buy government and mainstream media lies. But if you just accept them and don't question them, then you're not as likely to be dishonest. So you're more trustworthy if you just believe what fake stream media and government officials say. Remember, guys, calling somebody a conspiracy theorist is a derogatory title often used as an ad hominem attack that allows the attacker to easily dismiss a person who's trying to think critically. A conspiracy theorist is basically a person who questions the statements of known liars. And to link that with criminal activity is quite a stretch. This study is essentially saying if you don't believe what we're all supposed to believe, then you're likely to be a criminal among us. And get this, in a second study, exposure to conspiracy theories made people more likely to intend to engage in everyday crime in the future. Guys, we've entered pre-crime territory right here. The researchers found that this tendency was directly linked to an individual's feeling of a lack of social cohesion or shared values known as anomie. In case you don't know, anomie is defined as the lack of the usual social or ethical standards in an individual or group. Which made me think of that quote, "It's no sign of good mental health to be considered well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society." And guys, you gotta face it, our society is truly sick. Many people believe whatever CNN, MSLSD, the Washington Post, and government tells them. And we've seen time and time again that what they spout as truth ends up being one massive lie. Look at this recent deception with the Covington Catholic kids as just one example of the true conspiracy to frame a story and create a narrative that's not true. And that is a conspiracy fact. And for just 2 government examples, how about the conspiracy to draw us into the Vietnam War that killed almost 60,000 of our soldiers, not to mention the over 1 million civilian casualties? All predicated on the lie of the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which was promoted by mainstream media outlets. How about the conspiracy to draw us into a war with Cuba as outlined by the declassified Northwoods document? Conspiracies are real. They're not theoretical. And they happen every day in the halls of government and behind the news desks of corporate media. Professor Douglas said, "Our research has shown for the first time the role that conspiracy theories can play in determining an individual's attitude to everyday crime. It demonstrates that people subscribing to the view that others have conspired might be more inclined toward unethical actions." And get this, guys. Dr. Dan Jolly of Staffordshire University said, "People believing in conspiracy theories are more likely to be accepting of everyday crime, while exposure to theories increases a feeling of enemy, which in turn predicts increased future everyday crime intentions." In other words, if we're exposed to these conspiracy theories, general crime is going to increase in the future. So if somebody believes this study, what would be the natural response? Eliminate conspiracy theories. So guys, watch what happens. They're going to ratchet up the heat on mainstream and social media because of this. You can just imagine what people are going to do with this information. This will become further justification for Silicon Valley gatekeepers to kick more people off their platforms in the interest of reducing crime. This can potentially also cause the likelihood of being investigated by the authorities to increase. Individuals who choose to think for themselves and not believe everything that comes down the pike will be suspected of being dishonest and susceptible to future criminal behavior. Leave your thoughts about this for the world, the Google Thought Police, and the co-conspirators in the halls of government and in Silicon Valley in the comments section below.
If you guys enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, and share it with everybody you know. Also, check out over 100 hard-hitting designs in the shirt store, and if you want to support more content, hit me up on Patreon or PayPal. All those links will be in the description and in the pinned comment. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.
I'm here. In the kitchen making me a PB&J, but don't tell Blue. Okay, let's see. Florida McKee has one here titled, "Venezuela's allies will respond in defense ineptitude in on display."
Washington, D.C. is in complete and total disarray right now. Full retreat, completely confused and flummoxed as to why their attempts at regime change have failed so badly. I have characterized this issue as the greatest geopolitical miscalculation in the history of our country, and I think it's going to end up being that. The culture of South America is very, very different than that of what we would believe about Latin America in the United States. It is an entirely different place. Countries like, for example, Chile have, for the vast majority of their history, been what we would describe as socialist or social democracies, and they have been doing just fine. The reason we have seen the issues in Venezuela, and I'm sure many of you are aware of it, has to do with U.S. interference. In today's video, I'm going to speak about another time of U.S. interference that has now brought itself into the forefront of today's issue. Yesterday's video talked about Michelle Bachelet, the High Commissioner on Human Rights, accepting cordially the invitation of President Nicolas Maduro, not having anything to do with random guy named Juan. She's going to visit this weekend. She has a very special place in her heart for U.S. installed puppets. This individual, Augusto Pinochet, DC installed dictator in Chile back in 1973, jailed, tortured, and killed her father. He was one of the most vile individuals to ever lead a nation ever. And there have been some bad ones. She is a member of the Socialist Party, and I'm sure a lot of my audience who takes their marching orders from Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and all the neocons already have their mind already made up about what socialist/social democracy is. And that attitude is what has led to the complete and total failure of this effort in Venezuela. People can't wrap their minds around why Venezuela would fly F-16s, because they used to be our ally, and we used to have people in charge that understood. I wanted to bring up this picture because this is Miss Bachelet when she was much younger next to her father, so that people could have a face. Jailed, tortured, and killed. What was his evil, terrible, horrible crime? He was the minister in charge of food distribution under Salvador Allende, the actual leader of Chile that Washington, D.C. deposed with a military coup. So understand, there are real costs. But while we have been debating this here in social media, the people of Venezuela on the ground have not had the luxury. And amazingly, left to their own devices, they got together, like the evil, terrible, horrible socialists they are, and found ways to feed themselves. And they found ways to recover irrespective of Caracas, irrespective of Miraflores Palace, which is what my hope and prayer is for our country someday. That we stop thinking of all the solutions as emanating from a ballot box or emanating from some tiny little pseudo-dictatorship on the East Coast called Washington, D.C. We could figure it out for ourselves. There are no boogeymen that Washington, D.C. is protecting us from. Washington, D.C. has enemies, but if they would go away, so would our enemies. I'd like to read this for you so that you can see what's actually happening or hear what's actually happening on the ground in Venezuela. On Friday, February 22, the local production and distribution committees of Santa Teresa Parish in central West Caracas held a supplementary food market in which 3,000 local residents had the opportunity to purchase a kilo of meat, a whole chicken, 3 packs of corn flour, pasta, canned sardines, toothpaste, and sanitary wipes, all for around $3. Eggs, fresh vegetables were also sold at affordable prices. This market was meant to complement the monthly distribution of subsidized food boxes, which are comprised of around 18 kilos of rice, lentils, beans, pasta, cooking oil, and among other products, all for about 15 US cents. Did you catch the list of everything there? And how affordable it was? Boy, socialism is evil. Golly, think of that. The ability to buy groceries at affordable prices in large amounts. This is the crime. This is the evil, terrible, horrible dictatorship that Washington, D.C. needs to attack and needs to get rid of. It's what they're really afraid of, to be very honest, and this is me editorializing here a little bit. What they are afraid of, Washington, D.C., is the people of our country realizing we can do it for ourselves without them. China isn't going to send some huge invading army to take over Kansas or Missouri or Arkansas if Washington, D.C. would ever collapse. We could figure it out as 50 independent nations. We could have 50 brand new individuals sent to the UN with 50 independent ideas. The people of Texas would no longer really even have to care about what the opinion of the people of California was. they could coexist, and it would have nothing to do with each other, so that we wouldn't be at each other's throats over every little difference. That's what DC needs, that continual aggravation. And there are other countries that have been investing in Venezuela for this very reason. I wanted to read this just so you know how serious some other countries are taking it. In this U.S. onslaught, Venezuela has important allies, without diminishing importance to the friendship that maintains with nations of the American continent. President Maduro has in Russia and China two great backers. Russian ambassador to Caracas, Vladimir Zemsky, said that this week, Russia will respond forcefully to any attempt to deprive Russian companies of their investment in Venezuela. Once again, the reason Venezuela flies F-16s, they used to be our ally. They wanted to be our ally, but we moved away from them, not the other way around. Now, one of the things that the side effects of this issue in Venezuela has been that there are businesses and banks that are clamoring to get into Venezuela because it's a great place to invest in. And very recently, Special Envoy to Venezuela, Elliot Abrams, has come out and ramped up the sanctions on the oh gosh darn it. I got the wrong picture up. Hold on, let me see if I can find the one of Elliot Abrams. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Yeah, sorry. It's just get a lot of stuff going and sometimes the wrong picture pops up. Yeah, Trump's Venezuela envoy vows sanctions on banks supporting Maduro. So much for this idea of, oh, the sanctions are only on people. Wrong. They're not just on people. Washington, D.C. is terrified of actual, some level of free market capitalism moving into Venezuela now because they've failed. It's why they gave the huge exception to Steve Mnuchin and his hunger bonds. Now, at the end of this video, I would like to actually play a video for you guys that will speak volumes to how terrified Washington, D.C. is and how completely out of sorts they are. Some of you may have seen this, some of you might have not. It is spokesperson Palladino, I don't know the man's first name, talking about, or at least castigating, maybe is a better word, the media for not reporting on the story in Venezuela correctly. I'm going to go ahead and play this and let you listen to it.
Neither is correct. A few basic facts. We have noticed in news coverage that some outlets are incorrectly referring to Juan Guaido as the opposition leader or the self-proclaimed president. Neither is correct. A few basic facts. The National Assembly remains the only legitimate and democratically elected institution in Venezuela. Juan Guaido was elected president of the National Assembly on January 5th, 2019. And on January 10th, Maduro usurped the presidency. Therefore, the president of the National Assembly, and relying on Venezuela's constitution, as president of the National Assembly and relying on Venezuela's constitution, Juan Guaido became interim president of Venezuela on January 23rd. Millions of Americans and more than 50 countries recognize Juan Guaido as interim president of Venezuela. He is appointed and credentialed ambassadors to international organizations in the United States and numerous other democratic nations and other democratic nations. So to refer to Juan Guaido as anything but interim president falls into the narrative of a dictator who has usurped the position of the presidency and led Venezuela into the humanitarian, political, and economic crisis that exists today. The international community must unite behind interim president Juan Guaido and the Venezuelan National Assembly and support the peaceful restoration of democracy in Venezuela. That's it for the top. Let me get this.
Okay, I'm sorry. Before the response comes, this never gets old. It's just hilarious. This individual, Palladino, that he looks like he's in physical pain. Literally, the man knows every word out of his mouth is a lie. I don't envy him. I would have never taken the job, but, you know, this is, when you're the guy at point, this is what you get. But it doesn't get old. It's just hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. He can't literally even force the words out of his mouth. And when the first question comes, the look on his face is like, oh, God, this is going to get even worse. So we'll let this play forward another minute.
You're complaining because news outlets are calling him by a title that you don't think that he...
Not a complaint, pointing out, just trying to correct.
Well, it sounds like a complaint to me, and that seems pretty weak sauce. I don't understand what your problem is. I mean,
he's the interim president, and we don't want to...
You consider him to be the interim president, and as you say, 50 other countries outside of recognize him as the interim president. But there are more than 190 members of the United Nations, so your 50 countries is not even close to half of that.
We are supporting the Constitution of Venezuela and the people of Venezuela. We're supporting the Venezuelan people here, and so the United States, it's time to act in support of democracy. And
the news coverage of calling him the legitimate leader, the president, is going to encourage more countries to recognize.
We don't want to feed into the rhetoric of the current dictator.
Okay, I'm sorry. It is so difficult to watch. But Robert Palladino, by the way, is the man's name. Sorry about not having that ahead of time. But this shows you that little 3-minute clip is completely demonstrative of where DC is right now. Completely on their heels, confused, and not even believing their own rhetoric anymore. Because everybody has seen it now. Everybody has the information now. The military in Venezuela, honestly, might be the most loyal, decent military that might have ever walked the face of the earth, given the amount of pressure they were under by one of the most powerful dictatorial regimes in DC that has ever existed. And I guess I will leave it there, but understand that this woman just changed everything. Like, share, subscribe.
Alrighty, let's see here. Fun. Let me go ahead and do this one from Let's Talk About Prepping. Let's see. It's titled RUSK, and I don't know if that's an acronym for something, RUSK, but it says Storing Baked Bread, ? Experiment and Crucible Mail Open.
Hey guys, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping, and in this video we're going to talk about preserving bread that's already been made. Now, I've told you guys in a past video that I have access to large amounts of baked bread if I can figure out what to do with it. And it's a lot of calories that don't always get used by the local homeless shelter, and which I could be storing either for myself or as a giveaway food item in the future, if I can just figure out how to keep it from molding. Now, I'm not worried about it staling because I can add it to soups or various other things to reconstitute it. Now, I'm not saving the rye bread because that's how you get mass hallucinations. This is just a sourdough-based wheat. It generally tends to dry and crust out rather than mold, and that's a good one for doing a twice-baked or thrice-baked rusk or bruschetta bread recipe with. Now, I'm altering it a bit for food storage rather than for shelf stability, and use in a bruschetta recipe. So basically what I'm going to do is chop this down into little bits and then bake the moisture out of it and put some natural things that you'll have at home into it to make it last a bit longer and to fight the mold that will eventually start happening. Now, this is definitely experimental. Pretty much all the preppers that I talked to about this said freezer or nothing, and if you search online for long-term food storage bread, you're going to get links either talking about how to make bread from your food storage flour or articles about the debate about freezer versus fridge. What I want to do is crumb this bread and add some preservatives, some natural preservatives that will make it last for up to a year in Mylar bags and maybe in a cooler to give me something that I can, some free calories to boost my food preps and also as potentially a giveaway food item for other people so I'm not giving away the cream of my crop. So this is an experimental process. In fact, this batch actually I scrapped for a couple of reasons that I'll explain later. But what I'm experimenting with is some vinegar solution with thyme was what I put in there, ground thyme. This is oregano. Always carry a pocket knife with you. I prefer the utility razor blade, very handy in a lot of situations. Anyways, got your oregano. I'm also going to add some cinnamon, ground cinnamon, and rosemary, and a good chunk of salt, a lot of salt. Now, each of those spices is an anti-mold agent. Vinegar is acidic, which again suppresses and kills mold, and salt, of course, is a desiccant. Basically, it draws all of the moisture out of the mold cells through hyperosmosis and basically breaks the cell walls as they prune up. So all of these items, ingredients here, are going to contribute to an environment that is basically hostile to mold spores like yeast and the other things that tend to be what causes problems on bread. Now, a lot of bread molds aren't actually that dangerous, but a few of them do create some toxins that you really don't want in you, especially because they often accumulate over time. And that's a very important thing to consider is accumulative effects. So in this run through, I'm trying to grind up some of those spices a little bit, but in the next go through, I'm actually already soaking the vinegar and other ingredients in a mason jar in the fridge to get a good solution going. Basically, what I'm doing is soaking the essential oils from these powders into the vinegar and salt solution, and then coffee filtering the solids out to give myself a nice little vinegar and spice treatment to spray on the crumbed bread that I'm baking the moisture out of right now. Now, the main reason that I'm baking the bread first is because I plan to crumb it to expose as much surface area as possible to the spraying when I do that process, and then to bake it again to once again remove that moisture from the vinegar out of the bread. In future processes, I'm going to try to shred the bread using a food processor or a cheese grater in some way to skip the thrice baking process and just spray the bread right away and then bake everything out of it all at once. As it stands, especially with the bread piled up the way that I had it, and even with it in just these large chunks, it's pretty amazing how quickly the outside of any given chunk of bread will dry out, leaving the inside of the chunk warm and moist still. And for this process to work, it's absolutely vital that we remove as much moisture as physically possible from all of the bread, because any moisture left in there is a little bit of supplement for some mold and yeast spores to take root and start growing while this sits in storage. This entire process is going to hinge on having everything treated a little bit with some acid and mold inhibiting compounds and absolutely dry and then packaged in the Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers to make sure that they have nothing to try to catch hold with, and then stored in a cool place so that they don't have the warmth that they need to kindle. So I'm going to try this again later. The reason that I'm scrapping this batch is twofold. I cut my finger sort of badly early in the bread cutting process, and everything that you've seen here is after I took care of that. But it bled through the Band-Aid and through the holes that the breadcrumbs had torn in my gloves, and I ended up contaminating part of this batch. So I tossed it. And then I realized that the gloves, which I have, which these ones are actually sort of old, have a little bit of a plasticky smell to them. I don't think they're powdered or anything, but I was worried about contaminating the batch with these gloves. So I'm going to get new ones that are definitely food grade and try again. I really didn't waste any money on this. I bought some of these spices fresh, but I don't really consider that waste because aside from this use, they're just going to be used in regular food dishes. And the bread was free, so while there was some food waste, it's less than what gets wasted with this bread on a normal weekend when the homeless shelter doesn't come to pick it up. So I'm going to try again with some more free bread later tonight, and we'll see how this goes. I actually really think that this process taught me a lot in what to do next time, and I'm going to streamline it. So please stay tuned with that. Now, this last little bit is just something that I'm thinking of dabbling in. I want to mess around with melting silver, pretty much for fun, although there could be a few reasonable uses in a collapse type situation, or things that preppers might like to do. So I went on Walmart, the app, and found a clearance item of a nice little crucible and metal melting kit. It only cost me a few bucks because it was on clearance, and I thought it would be fun just to sink my teeth into, even though I don't really expect it to be of high quality. It'll at least give me an idea of where I want to start and where I want to go for here. I always approach new hobbies experimentally and realize that there's going to be a lot of failure before I figure out what I'm doing. So I try not to get too serious at first. For instance, I don't have too much faith in this little clay crucible. I know I'm going to have to glaze it and treat it real well to keep it from cracking. But this came with a pair of tongs, a crucible, and a couple of graphite molds, along with a couple of graphite stirring sticks. So stay tuned with that to see me probably mess up in my first attempts at messing around with molten metal. So that should be fun. Anyways, I hope that was interesting, guys. Stay tuned on both fronts for my experiments in both of these regards. I hope it's interesting, and I hope you'll stick around. Stay safe out there, everyone.
All right, we got some more breaking news, and, let me bring it up. Now, you hear me often say, and I mean every bit of it, you hear me often say that, there's a difference, there's a fine line between hate speech and the First Amendment. And I stand behind that. But it's kind of a moral issue, right? Like many other issues that they're trying to legislate, okay? My fear is government is always overreaching, always overpowerful, and always use every little inch that they can get to take a mile. So this concerns me. This concerns me for our First Amendment. U.S. House passes anti-hate resolution after lawmaker criticizes AIPAC's influence. After hours of debate on wording, the U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday passed an anti-hate resolution condemning anti-Semitism, discrimination against Muslims, and other forms of bigotry against minorities. The resolution passed with a vote of 407 to 23. Republican lawmakers who, prior to the vote, condemned the bill as being watered down were the only ones to oppose the resolution, with one member voting as present. GOP lawmakers wanted the resolution to specifically focus on anti-Semitism and on Representative Ilhan Omar. And I probably said that wrong, okay? So, you see how this works, right? And Republicans only wanted it to address anti-Semitism, right? And that's not cool. That's not fair. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So if you're not allowed to call out Israel for the truth of what they are doing, then, why is it okay to call out the many, many, many Muslims that don't support and don't stand behind Sharia law for something that they don't represent? You see what I'm saying? And folks, they're going to use this to silence us. My concern is we won't be able to be critical of Israel and the genocide that they are involved in. Because, they will tell you, oh, you got to worry about the Muslims. You got to worry about the Muslims. They're going to come into your country and they're going to multiply and they're going to take over. Right? Wait a minute. Isn't that what Israel's doing? Huh. But see, if this passes and gets signed into law, for me simply stating that, for me simply stating the truth, which isn't hate speech, I could get in trouble. Legally. Criminally. This is bad news. This is bad news. I don't like hate speech, folks. I cannot stand hate speech. It runs through me. But, and I'm not saying that we should just allow hate speech. No, like I say, there's a clear definition between hate speech and freedom of speech, okay? What I said about Israel is not hate speech, it's just truth. Okay? Fact. I mean, so it's bothering to me that I wouldn't be able to say that. It's unreal. So just keep an eye on this. Hopefully it falls flat on its face. Folks, they will get our First Amendment completely. They'll get our Second Amendment completely. They've pretty much already got our Fourth Amendment completely. They will get them all. They will get every single one of them. Because we let them. And we don't hold them accountable. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Very concerning in my book. Very, very concerning. So, we're going to check this out. I was actually checking out the cards on the website, and they look to be pretty cool little survival cards. Cole Craven, Bushcraft and Survival, has a video titled Survival Cards That Work, and it's Grim Survival. That's the name of the business of the cards. Here you go.
Hello. Today what I want to do is share a few survival cards and also some survival tip cards that you can buy on grimworkshop.com. Now these here are pretty cool. They have many, many styles. They're a waterproof plastic card. They're numbered. This one here shows the basics on Morse code. This one here shows a trapping, so it has a figure 4 plus another trap here. You've got communication skills and what they mean, also sign language. So these here are just various types of reminder cards or stuff you may need to know when you're out there that you've never actually learned before. Morse code, I don't know it, but this card here could help me with getting a basic message across or reading one. So these tip cards are very useful in my opinion. Even if your mind is cloudy from hunger, dehydration, tired, and so on, these here just may be able to refresh your memory. So I think it's pretty cool that you can fit a lot. There's 6 cards here, and they take up very little room in a kit or in a wallet. So I've got 3 cards I'm going to share with you today. This one here is the Surf and Turf card. And what this provides is 2 gigs for spearing fish and frogs and such, plus 2 spear points, or you could use them as arrowhead points for small game. These tools are made from a stainless steel, a tool steel, to make them rugged for the size of them, and so it will help prevent rust. They also have a semi-permanent backing that you can remove a tool by pushing up like this, getting my fingernail under it, and there you go. Now these here, they're reusable. All I have to do is take it, stick it back on like this here, and there you go, it's stuck. Now these are sticky, so I would suggest cleaning your tool off before sticking it on. But I was told if you wash it, if it does become dirty, then they'll start sticking again. This one here with the Surf and Turf, it has this one with a slot. You pop out the next one, and it has a slot this way. What that's made for is these here go together to make a 4-sided spear point. So I just push that in like this, mindful that these are very sharp. I'm grabbing it like this and pushing it down. Now mine fetches up right to there. I can fashion this right to a spear shaft like this and use it, but they have made these so they're tight fit going down. They did that so even after multiple uses they'll still be tight. They made another version that was looser, that would easily go down, but it was loose. So they went with this here. Now this pretty well bottoms out right there. I could force it, but I don't need to. But if I don't want to do it this way, I have 2 points right there. Now with the gigs, you can see how those are very sharp, and you have 2 of those. Very nice little card, and credit card size, and you can fit it in your wallet. I also have 2 signature cards. This here is the Bob Hansler card, and as you see, what's in here is we have a knife with a saw back on it. We have a couple needles for repair kits and so on. We've got multiple hooks, different sizes, plus even some lures. Also some straight needles, and a hook file over here. Now, this card here I thought was very well put together for a fishing card, but you can do so much with hooks. Needles help repair a kit, getting out splinters and such as well. But I'm going to try this knife out and see how it works right out of the card. And before I do that, I want to show you another card that is the signature Fowler card. This here is the Fowler card. It's geared around fishing, trapping, and also provides a knife and a fish spear. Now this fish spear you could also use for small game, but these here, those are for trap triggers, for setting up a snare. You take your line, I'll show you how to do that in another video. You take your line, tie it to one, then you anchor the bottom to another, and then they fit together like a 7-notch would. Very cool and quick setup with these here. You also have hooks and lures. And what's really cool about this, if you take out this little awl right here, this is a tick key. Right here, that's a tick key in there. So very, very cool design. And I'm going to take the knife out of this and the Bob Hansler knife. This one, I actually took my diamond sharpener and sharpened it. So I'm going to show you the difference after just a few, 5 minutes on a diamond sharpener, what I can do compared to right out of the card. This here is the Bob Hansler one right out of the package. And you see, it can cut. It does cut. And then the saw part. Now these little saws like this, they're going to be good for putting in little notches and such, but they are what they are. Does it work? Yes, it works. But if you want it sharper, I suggest just touching up the edge. You could take a little bit more time, but you could use a stone from a river or the ground to sharpen it a little bit if you like. Or if you had a diamond sharpener and such, you could use that as well. Me, I would prefer it to be a little sharper. This here's the Fowler. This is the one that I've actually sharpened. And as you see, it works pretty decent. Of course, I have to push on this pretty hard. It's a little hard on that, but this isn't meant for heavy duty work and such. But definitely got a trout or skin a little animal with it for sure. That's working nice. I can take little fine pieces with that as well. So that's a quick overview of these cards, just showing what's in here, a little bit of the use. Now, I got a couple hooks from an Apoca box, and that's what turned me on to these. I seen the quality of just the little zipper pull that I got with two hooks, so I wanted to check it out further. Getting these cards here, I'm going to be able to use them and such. And I just wanted to see, are they gimmicky? Are they something I would use? Well, they've been tested now by quite a few people, and people are loving them. They are a piece of gear that you can reuse and use again, and they are so compact. I've got a lot of gear in those three little cards that I could use if out on a camping trip, out on a day hike, if I was lost or stranded in a survival situation. This gives me a few pieces of gear that could help. So they have multiple different types of products. So go check them out, and I'll leave a link down below so you can just click it. And yeah, I'm liking these. I have this card holder that these fit great in, and that's what I use to carry them. I put them in like that there, and then I put the cards, the tip cards, right on top, and that holds them secure. Now, these fit in your wallet. You can put them in a kit of some sort as well, but that's up to you. Make it your own. Their goal is to make usable gear that you can use time after time, and they'll actually work when you need them. Thanks for watching. Take care. All the best.
Alrighty, let's see here. Okay, here's one from Dabu7 titled Forced Blood Draws and Implied Consent Laws Make a Mockery of the Fourth Amendment.
As it's been said, the Fourth Amendment was designed to stand between us and arbitrary government authority. And for all practical purposes, that shield has been shattered, leaving our liberty and our personal integrity subject to the whim of every cop on the beat, every trooper on the highway, and every jail official. This comes from Herman Schwartz of The Nation. They basically are saying, if you think you've got rights, you better think again because of what is happening here. in terms of our Constitution and some of these laws that are being pushed. And of course, these things change constantly with different resolutions being pushed and passed. And it really comes down to the politicians representing the people in the right way in these situations. Now, they're saying that in this situation, this is a grim reality of life in America as we know it. They're saying that so-called rights have been reduced to technicalities in the face of ongoing power grabs, so to speak. Now, consider a case before the U.S. Supreme Court in which Wisconsin police officers read an unconscious man his rights, and then they proceeded to forcibly and warrantlessly draw his blood while he was still unconscious in order to determine if he could be charged with a DUI. Now, to sanction this forced blood draw, the cops and the courts have hitched their wagon to state-implied consent laws. More than half of the 29 states allow police to do warrantless forced blood draws on unconscious individuals whom they suspect of driving while intoxicated. Now, 7 states and their appeals courts have declared these warrantless blood draws, when carried out on unconscious suspects, as unconstitutional. Courts in 7 other states have found that implied consent laws run afoul with the Fourth Amendment, and yet 7 other states, including Wisconsin, have ruled that implied consent laws provide police with a free pass when it comes to the Fourth Amendment in forced blood draws. And this is just another thing that is happening and going on in this country. So if you're concerned about this, you think that your state may be tied into this in a way that you don't like, I'm going to leave a link here so you can read up on more details. As always, make sure to follow me on Twitter for more. This has been Dabu7. Eyes open, folks.
Alrighty, let's see. Fun. Got another one here from Full Spectrum Survival, titled, Warning, the U.S. government is illegally tracking members of society and Russia intercepts spy plane.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the night shift here at Full Spectrum Survival, covering important news events for the evening of March 7th of the year 2019. The United States government is in violation of the Constitution of the United States. This according to reporters and agencies who have disseminated a series of screenshots that were given to them under anonymity. These screen captures were provided to the news outlets by employees of the U.S. government. These employers are warning that not just one single operation is taking place, but multiple operations are ongoing right now that are completely against the U.S. Constitution, the Constitution of the United States of America, illegal, and of which the government is not being held accountable for. If this continues, as it is due to continue, warns a lawyer advocate for the freedom of speech, we will see a complete erosion of the United States guarantee of rights for the individual and for media, and we will see tyranny. The screenshots presented are part of an operation by the U.S. government called Operation Secure Line. The operation is designated to monitor the migrant caravan, according to the source. They show a monitoring of suspected organizers, what they are calling instigators, and the media, with pictures of individuals, their suspicion of intent, and what agents should do with the individuals or what has been done with them once they are taken into custody or detained otherwise. Imagine a day, if this day has not already arrived, when individual agencies, be it police agencies, street-booted military forces, NGOs, or other agencies, have information given to them on each and every individual, you, and details from an unseen authority to investigate or detain you. This is a dystopian view of our present that most dare not think about, but it is here, or will be here soon. Moving back to the report itself, some individuals have a colored X over their photo, which, according to the source, designates whether they were arrested, interviewed, or had their visa or Century Pass revoked by officials. In addition to flagging the individuals for secondary screenings or other information, the Homeland Security source told NBC7 that the agents also created dossiers on each person listed. The following is a quote directly from the Homeland Security employee. "We are a criminal investigation agency. We're not an intelligence agency," the source told investigators. We can't create dossiers on people, and they're creating these dossiers. This is an abuse of the Border Search Authority. This is an abuse of power and an illegal and tyrannical act against the people. In other news, the Russian Ministry of Defense, or the Russian military, has released video that it says shows a Russian fighter jet intercepting an American spy plane over the Baltic Sea. The Defense Ministry did not say when this incident took place exactly, as it released the video, shot from an Su-27 fighter cockpit as it was approaching a U.S. spy aircraft. It added Thursday that the fighter returned to its base after the U.S. plane flew away. What we're seeing here is two powerful militaries constantly testing the other's measures of control, each looking for a weakness in the fence, so to say, or points of instability, ones that can be manipulated to the advantage of the other nuclear nation. That reference is according to a military strategist, and one who warns that one day, testing the fence line will move, either through a mistake or a purposeful intent, to enact real control of the area. This will leave both countries scrambling to either gain control or vie for peace at the time of the incident. Dangerous times ahead. Through times of both war and peace, every species on our planet will continue to procreate. That is a quote from war historians discussing pregnancy and birth during times of social unrest or civil war, one of the most dangerous times to become a new mother, and a time that every group and every family should begin to prepare for, or at least think about. Even if you yourself are past childbearing age, as the gift of life may present itself into your survival story, as it has for hundreds of thousands of other people throughout history around our planet, even when they faced odds clearly stacked against them for survival. Knowing this, one of the most important preparations to ease the daily sustenance of needs of a new child into a group of survivors will be hygiene related. This, coupled with information presented this week from the BFR Federal Institute for Risk Assessment, which detailed extensively the amount of chemicals and toxins that are contained within store-bought disposable hygiene goods, diapers, reminds us that having clasp or Velcro cloth diapers with washable cloth inserts and a water-resistant cover or outside makes this type of at-home cloth diaper the best choice that can be made for children, both now during times of peace and for children and mothers surviving a medium to long duration emergency during a crisis. We used the Bum Genius type of cloth diapers here at our house, which give the mother more fanciful cover, if you will, and patterns than standard white covers. But there are many, many trusted brands available. We have a number of cloth diapers here in our own preparedness kit for new mothers, even though we're past that point in our lives, that may find themselves in times of duress, as this prep will help us retain a high level of hygiene should a disaster strike, as well as a pattern to make more if needed, if that need becomes realized. Moving on, the president of the New York Federal Reserve Bank has warned this week, a very dire warning, that the U.S. economy will slow considerably in 2019 as the boost from last year's economic stimulus packages and enhancements begin to fade. This brings certainty to warnings that economists have been shouting at or stressing for months, where they have said that a second great American economic turndown may be coming in the post-2000s. That will bring with it new strife and troubles for the average person, felt by you and me. Knowing this, now is the time to prepare for economic uncertainty. Make contingency plans with your friends and with your family for what you or what they will do if times get extremely difficult, where to stay in the event of a personal crisis, and how to keep food and medicine available during times of need. A very special thank you to each one of our Patreon members for making News on the Night Shift possible here at Full Spectrum Survival. Without you, it would not be possible. To support our work, consider joining us at patreon.com/Full Spectrum Survival. At the $10 level is where Kelly and I can really give back to you with monthly high-resolution and waterproof survival cards that we send to your mailbox or to your P.O. box each and every month. This evening's news is also being brought to us in part by USABerkeyFilters.com. If you plan on filtering a lot of water during a crisis or a disaster, or if you just want peace of mind now about what you're drinking, use the code FSS10 and you will get 10% off of any ceramic filter purchase. As well as ReadyMadeResources.com, a leader in night vision sales and communication. Robert, who is the site's owner, warns that night vision is the last hurdle towards security. They now have financing options available and a vast array of visual and communications needs. If you use the code NM1, you'll get a free meal with every purchase. From Kelly and I to you and yours, please stay safe and keep watch.
Alrighty, got one from Step 1 Survival here titled How to Make Coffee Fire Tinder. This one's got me interested because I keep hearing about coffee grounds being used as fire tinder.
Welcome back to SOS. I'm Stats Aren't Badass, and today we're going to be making some coffee tinder wicks. And you guys might remember these guys. When I tried these out, I thought they were epic. And I'm just curious. Now, I won't be able to make them look this fancy. And the only thing is I'm trying to do things as cheap as possible to show you guys how to make something interesting. So I went all over the place. And I actually found these. These are much smaller, but I actually found these at McDonald's, these little cups. So I've got these. I got some tea light candles. These are the little tea candles. These are $1 for a set of these. And you can get those at the dollar store. I've got, this is once used coffee grounds, and this is basically 1 pot of coffee that was made, and from that 1 pot of coffee, I took this and dried it out over sheets of notebook paper. That's it. I just poured it on some sheets of notebook paper. It dried out, turned back into a powder, and it's ready to go. All right, now I've got, I didn't quite measure this, but I want to say that's about a cup of sugar. So a cup of sugar there. Is that about all my contents? So there's wax, this, and this. Now and I'm going to try and utilize every bit of this to get this done. So let's go ahead and get her fired up and let's get rolling. So they're done. The way I'm going to do this is just light one of them. I'm going to light it along with this guy. He is kind of big. That's the ones you can buy, and you can make these on a larger scale. But I'm just going to light them up just like I did before in the video of the battle box where I was burning just these. So I'm just going to kind of tear one up and just go ahead and light it. Let's see if we can't get that to go. Just like I did with the other one. I'm not going to cheat. Let's see if I can get it to go. This is how I did it in the other video. Now I'll just use this one to light this one. Now this one burns for about 25 minutes is what I had on that one last time I did one of these. So let's just see what happens. I think you kind of get the point. What I learned today was, it's the first time I've ever done this, and from watching them both burn, they burned 25 minutes, each of them did. This gives you got to move it around a little bit, but the reason for that is because I added, you can tell I've got, a little bit too much sugar going on there. So the thing is, if you make some of these, don't throw away your coffee grounds. Use them for stuff like this, dry them out, and use them. And just, as far as fuel goes, you won't need as much sugar. And top it off, one more thing I learned from doing this for the first time, this extra wax that I had left over that I made little candles out of, I could have just poured that and layered it on top, and that's what I'll do next time, is I'll layer it on top. But I'm going to do it on a larger scale. I want something bigger than these little cups. But these aren't waste. These can be used, because you can tell they still burn for 25 minutes. I just need to bundle them up together and do like 4 of them at once to have a decent little burn. But anyways,
This was simple, cheap, and something you can do at home yourself. All right, you're watching SOS. I'm Stas RMBA. Have a beautiful, fabulous, fantastic day. Rainbows and unicorns. God bless. Take care.
Yay! Okay, got one from Florida McKee here, titled Flipping the Script. Live report reveals the confusion.
So I decided to go live with this today before Columbia Reports realizes the mistake they made and takes the article down. This story about is Venezuela spying on Colombia is funny in the sense that it reveals something pretty damning, and I'm going to go over the part that I think once they realize what they have said, they'll probably take it down. All right, Colombia's government and local media are stirring concerns that Maduro has deployed spying operations on Colombian soil without offering any sound evidence to back it up. There's a big surprise. Now give me 1 second while I pull the monitor up here so that I can follow what you guys are saying.
Actually, I changed my mind. Let me go ahead and close up with this video. I just noticed it. Otherwise, I would have already had it pulled up. It's Survival Prepping for Normal People, and the title is what caught my attention. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. My apologies. It's Survival Prepping for Normal People. The video is titled The Toughest Audiences on YouTube.
Hey guys, welcome back to Survival Prepping for Normal People, Wife Beater Edition. So for those of you outside the States, these undershirts, we call them wife beaters. Because invariably, especially when you watch that show Cops, it was like a live action television show about law enforcement, and they'd go to a house for a domestic violence issue. The guy who was beating his wife always came to the door in one of these. Invariably, without fail. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm not here to talk to you about wife beating shirts. What I am here to talk to you about is how difficult of an audience preppers and survivalists can be. And there's a reason. My son watches a lot of YouTube. So I kind of look over his shoulder and watch the things he watches. He watches those gaming channels where it'll be like a picture of a guy up here in the corner and it shows the gaming stuff that he's doing. I don't know what they call those. Okay, I'm really not into that. Or he watches channels where grown men pretend like they're kids and they build forts out of cardboard and shoot each other with Nerf guns or jump off the top of their house onto a trampoline into a swimming pool. And these people have millions of subscribers. So yeah, am I hating much? Just a little bit. But there are other channels that are extremely hard for some of the creators to do. And my channel's grown a lot. I've just, whatever the formula is, it's working. You guys are really liking it, and I really appreciate that. And so, since September? Yeah, last September. So what's that been? 6 months? Really? Actually, a little bit less than 6 months. I can't believe it's already been half a year, but that's only as long as my channel has been going. And it's done well, and I want to thank you guys for that. We're up over 35,000 subscribers now here on the team, and I couldn't be more ecstatic. I mean, I can hardly contain myself. No, really, I'm very happy. I would think that by anybody's measure, that's successful, and it's still growing, and we're still adding 700, 800, 1,000 people a week sometimes, and it's awesome. But I'm not here to hold a pep rally or pat myself on the back. But what I'm here to talk about is it can be very difficult for creators in this genre, this corner of the YouTube universe, because you guys are such an exacting audience. And unlike those gamer channels or people who critique cartoons or grown men who build cardboard forts and shoot at each other with Nerf guns, that stuff's all just for fun. It's entertainment. And a lot of those subs, those millions of people, are kids. Okay, I mean, just we got to face it, right? their kids. And that's cool. I mean, that's their thing. That's their vibe. That's their gig. That's awesome. Less than 1% of my audience is below 25 years of age. You know, when you're a creator, they have this page where you go and it shows all your analytics and it shows your demographics, you know, what countries you're in and what age groups and what sex. 21% of my audience is female, by the way, which isn't bad for this type of channel. It's not like I do a whole lot of female-oriented interests on this channel, but survival and being prepared for emergencies should be interesting for everybody. But as humans have this natural tendency to do, it tends to be the males who focus on security and the uncertainty of the future and things like that. So, audience tends to be a little more male, but it can be very difficult if you're not a thick-skinned person to do this kind of channel. And there's a ton, guys. There are a ton. I watch, I'll just skim through. I'll just type in prepping on the little YouTube search and check out some of the different channels. And there are literally hundreds of small channels out there. I'm talking people with 1,000 or less subscribers. And then there are dozens of people with 1,000 to 10,000. Some of them I think should have a whole lot more. And there are a few of them that I think should have a whole lot less, right? But you kind of go through the comment section and you get a feel for the, I don't want to say the judgmental aspect of the survival and prepping audience, but people are very hard on their creators. And I think that is with good reason. And that's because we talk about very serious things here. I mean, it's even more serious than a gun channel. Okay, there's tons of gun channels, right? And everybody is a critic. Everybody has different opinions and all this stuff. And there'll be comments in there. Oh, this guy is such a noob. He doesn't know this. And it might be a guy that's been a professional competitive shooter, a trainer, and stuff for years. And this other guy that's critiquing him may be an Xbox hero, right? And he's telling this guy how the cow ate the cabbage. And you'll see the guy respond, well, you're a douchebag. And they kind of go back and forth. Now, I don't recommend going down that path. Tempting, very tempting, but I don't recommend going down that path. Don't pour gas on that fire. And a lot of those people that we call trolls, they're trying to get a rise out of the creator. They're trying to make a statement. They're trying to get a lot of clicks. They don't have their own channels, but they're experts in everything that you do. And does a person have to have a channel to be legitimate? No. But it's easy to piss all over somebody else's work. Okay, when you haven't put in the time and the effort, and you're not trying to do something and improve people's understanding, improve people's knowledge, motivate them. I try to be very motivational with you guys. I try not to be so doom and gloom, but throw in a little bit of humor. Try to connect with you guys like a real person, because I am a real person. Ow, yeah, that kind of hurt. But anyway, you are a very tough audience. And I want to thank you for that. In the prepping and survival corner of YouTube, of social media, what we do, you got a ton of great channels. And there are some people that I think all they do is watch prepper channels all day, because I'll go to several different ones and I'll just be scanning the comment section, while I'm waiting at the doctor's office when I'm going to my physical therapy or whatever the case may be, whenever I have some downtime, or I'm waiting for my son to get out of school and I'm waiting in line in the afternoon, and I'll scan through the channels and I'll check the comment section, and I've found about 10 or 20 people that I see commenting on 30 or 40 different channels. If you got the time and you want to soak up the information, hey, by all means, do it. The more you know, the longer you're going to live. And that's just a fact. But anyhow, it's such an exacting and such a critical, but I mean in a good way, critical as in, thinking about stuff logically, critically, working it out, thinking it through. It has to be, because the subjects we talk about could be life or death. And that is the hard part of being a creator and doing videos for survivalists and preppers. And it can be hard to establish your credibility. So, Canadian Prepper, I like his videos, and I have no problem with him wanting to capitalize on it. That's his thing. I mean, if you don't support him trying to earn money, I mean, watch his videos, but, you know, hey, you don't go to his store, don't buy his stuff. I mean, whatever. Can't blame the guy for doing that. He's very American in that sense. He's much more American than he probably is Canadian in the sense that he's an entrepreneur, and that's a good thing. I have no issue with that. Me, I don't sell stuff directly to you guys. There may be some passive stuff, you know, because YouTube puts their ads. I don't pick the ads. I just say yes or no if they can put the ads, and they do. And if you click on the ad or you skip the ad, whatever, hey, that's cool. I don't care. You do you. I'm just here to talk to you guys. So, you know, I always make fun of the guys that review flashlights, and they leave a link down below so they can get their cut from Amazon. Wrangler Star is a channel that's very good at that. Again, dude's got a bajillion subs, and he's been doing this for a while. I've watched a few of his shows. He's not my cup of tea, but I'm not here to judge anybody. Everybody does their own thing. But he can make a living out of it, and that's great. Me, it's just, you know, a hobby, really. And I've had a lot of awesome conversations with you guys. And like I said, when I first started my channel, I wanted to know if I was the only one who thought the way I thought. Or I'm like, you know, I'd watch something or I'd read something or I'd hear something and I'd think, man, this is what I think is really going on. And so I kind of put those ideas out there, and I get a lot of feedback from you guys, and I have a lot of fun with it. So for me, it's been very gratifying from that point of view. Like I said, the hardest thing about it is the audience can be very critical in a good way, and they should be. Because the things we talk about are much more consequential than building cardboard forts or playing with puppets or any of these things or playing video games where these other guys just have millions of subs, you know, where they talk about pop culture stuff or they look at memes or they review cat videos and react to them. Whatever the situation is, man. I had watched a little bit of YouTube, but I always went to the stuff I wanted to go to. And then this year they had the first time I saw the YouTube Rewind, and I was like, oh my God. And then I started watching the stuff that was trending, and it was even worse, which just convinced me that much more so that I should continue to prep, that I am on the right road. I think we've chosen the right path here. If art imitates life, or if life imitates art, we're really, really in trouble. But anyway, that's the hard part. The good part about it is, unlike repairing lawnmowers or unlike building furniture or any of the other millions of channels you can find, where there are certain steps you have to take to get the desired outcome, and there's only one way to do it. There's a right and a wrong. In survival and prepping, there are a lot of right answers. I mean, it's almost its own universe, because basically everything that we talk about are things we do in everyday life anyway. We only talk about it in the context of a disruption, a world outside of the context in which we live now. Okay, nothing is normal anymore. You can call it without rule of law. You can call it martial law. You can call it Tiatawaki. You can call it SHTF. You can call it post-apocalyptic, dystopian. See, there are almost as many words for the kind of situations we envision and the contingencies we plan for as contingencies that we could plan for. And so the things we talk about is, how would you do your normal daily things in life that keep you alive? Now it's going to work, paying your bills, not running over somebody in traffic, things like that. If all that were gone, being alive and surviving is still a very complex thing, and humans are very, very good at it. We've almost mastered it. We're really close. We're really good at surviving. We're the type of species that we're not a niche species. We can live anywhere and everywhere. Because if we can't adapt to the environment, we change the environment to meet our needs. And I think that's pretty awesome. So we're very resilient. Humans are very, very resilient, very hard. It would, if an alien race came to the Earth and they tried to wipe us out, it'd be extremely difficult for them to do. I mean, you have to admit, even if they had technology 1,000 years ahead of us, we're such a pain in the ass. We're not going anywhere. There'd be a few of us left around. Just, oh man, every once in a while, they'd turn the lights on and some humans would run across the floor or whatever, but they could never get rid of all of us. But that's the awesome thing about survival and prepping, is that there are a lot of right answers. I may use a certain kind of bushcraft knife. You may use a different kind. It doesn't mean one of us is right or wrong. It's all nuanced. It's just a matter of choice, discernment, whatever we choose to use. There are a lot of different ways to do different things, man. There are 100 different ways to light a fire without using tools. I mean, modern mechanical tools. I mean, you got to
have, most people can't just walk up and, touch something and light it on fire. That'd be an awesome skill to do. If anybody can do that, show me how. But I'm talking about using modern tools, right? Modern technology. There's 100 ways to light a fire without doing that, because people figured out over the years how to do that without all of our modern conveniences. So there are a lot of right answers. So the cool part about it is I can throw out an idea, and it may work. And some of you guys may come back and say, yeah, that's a cool idea, but did you think about this? Or have you tried it that way? The bad thing about survival and prepping is there can be a lot of wrong answers too, but you're only going to get to mess up once when it comes to survival. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about that, let you know that I have a lot of fun doing this channel. It continues to grow. I am glad every one of you are here. And the other thing that makes it tough to talk to survivalists and preppers, you guys are very high self-esteem individuals. You're very confident. You're very sure. So when people figure out a way to do something, and all humans do it, they have a tendency to think that that's the best way. And it may be for them or other people around them in their particular environment, their location, whatever the situation may be, whether they live in the country, if they live in the middle of Alaska, if they live in Hawaii, if they live in, Alabama or something. Everybody has a different set of parameters they have to work within. So what works good for somebody may not work really good for somebody else. But there are a lot of things in general that we have. People have to eat, people have to sleep, people have to drink water, people need medicine. So there are a lot of things we talk about that cross over a lot of those lines. But people have a tendency to be so sure of themselves that they say things that are critical, and then that may not be mean to be dicks or be assholes about it, but they're critical without thinking it through. Because then, they'll say something and then a million other people jump on them in the comment section and stuff like that. But you guys are an awesome audience, because I do go through and I do read a lot of the comments in the comment section, just because, just like in any great work, any great writing, if you could take the author's notebook and you could see all the stuff he wrote in the margins and not just the paragraphs, that's where the real genius would be. So the real genius in any of this isn't what I say. It's not that I'm a creator that puts out good content and everybody thinks it's great. It's the stuff you guys say and the conversations you have between each other. I learn more about just people in general by reading that stuff. And it's awesome. So I'm glad a lot of you guys get something from the show. I do try really hard to make it meaningful, to make it substantive, to make it pertinent, information you can actually use. But to try to do it in a positive way. There's so many doom and gloomers, and there's so many guys that talk real loud, and they're real definitive and real authoritative, and hey, everybody, they do them, right? But I don't think it has to be that dramatic. And I think that's part of the reason some people like to come to this channel is I don't try to sell you flashlights. I don't try to sell you precious metals and other things. I try to be real political to the point where politics does affect us. I mean, these people decide how much money to take out of your check and what your children learn in school. So don't think politics isn't important. I mean, and that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, some of these people have their finger on the red button and could end all this shit for everybody. So don't think that it doesn't matter, okay? Because whether or not those people are the ones who really control what's going on, they're the face of the people who control what's really going on. So that perception has to be maintained. So I just wanted to thank you guys for being here. I mean, I get people, they give me messages all the time. Hey, thanks for sharing. Thanks for the stuff you put out. Thanks for your show. I want to say every one of you are welcome. But more than that, I want to thank each and every one of you for being on the team. I promise I won't do very many more wife beater videos. I was just actually relaxing around the house when this idea popped in my head. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being on the team.
Alrighty, because I was really offended by his wife beater. So anyway, I'm going to get off of here for the night. I hope everybody has a good evening. Thank you for coming out. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. I think we're safe from drones and black bags and gitmos for the evening. We shall see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you, and be one with your spirit.